right, greetings and salutations, everyone. My name is Andrew Kirchhoff, and welcome to our Week 9 Sunday morning live stream for the 2022 fantasy football season. Over the course of the next 2+ hours, I'll be here answering your guys' questions and helping you set your lineups for Week 9. Of course, immediately to the right of me, we have our rankings updated as of this morning for a half PPR scoring format, 4-point per passing touchdown format, for the 4 primary fantasy positions. Of course, top 36 running backs, wide receivers, top 16 quarterbacks, and tight ends, like we bring you guys every single Sunday morning. So if in fact you have a question in regards to some of these players, hopefully the rankings on screen will give you a little bit of an indication as to where I'm going to go this weekend and where my suggestions will be placed. Specifically, of course, if you do play in a different format, that's what questions are for. Throughout the course of today's episode or live stream per se, a lot of you are going to ask questions. If you have a question that requires the format to be specified, for example, it's not half PPR, hey, please be sure to mention it's a standard league, it's a full PPR league, anything of that extent. Maybe it's even a different league. It's like a 0.75 per reception. Every single piece of information in regards to scoring format matters in order for me to be more accurate and give you the best overall suggestion I can to lead to success for Week 9. Outside of that, of course, there are a lot of expectations for some players to miss today. So the expectation for Mark Andrews, Gus Edwards, Darren Waller, these are all assumptions that I'm making that they're going to be out. Now, majority of the information that I have been, kind of looking into over the course of the last couple of days implies that they're probably going to be out. But there's a reason why I currently have guys like Isaiah Likely as my number 5 tight end going into the week. There's a reason why I have Matt Collins as my number 36 wide receivers, because my assumption that Waller is going to be out. I have Kenyon Drake sitting over there at number 26 at running back because of it. So if in fact you have a question in regards to that kind of stuff, those are the reasons why those players are where they're currently ranked, because of the assumptions that I've made in regards to the other players within their teams potentially missing today. If anything changes within the next 2 hours, I will update the rankings on screen, and we'll go ahead and redirect everything in the direction of trying to make sure we're all accurate and ready to go regarding those players. But I'm fairly certain the assumptions that I'm making are going to be good to go. Other than that, outside of that, I mean, quite frankly, I think we're good to go here. Week 9. Couple things I wanted to mention. If you guys haven't yet already, be sure to click the like button. Certainly does help out the channel. A couple likes here and there may seem like, oh, it's not a big deal. I can assure you, in terms of the grand scheme, the algorithm of YouTube, that is the number one difference maker. So if you guys could do that for me, do me a favor, do a solid, that'd be greatly appreciated. Also, if you guys want to continue to play daily fantasy, you can check out Prize Picks. There's a link down in the description. Yesterday we talked about it at a greater capacity. Also, we talked about it on Friday in regards to via Prize Picks, their current numbers for Zach Ertz today. I think it's like 38 and a half receiving yards, more or less, 10 fantasy points in a full PPR, and 4 receptions. Those all 3 of those numbers could very easily go more. And that was the main conversation we were having yesterday in regards to going after that and pairing it up with guys like Trevor Lawrence, going over on his fantasy points and all that kind of jazz. So check that out today. Use promo code Andrew, and when you do and you make a first-time deposit, you'll be given a first-time deposit match up to $100. So check that out if you're interested. Thank you very much. All right, so let's talk about this, shall we? There's already a couple questions that were sent in. I know what I probably should do first and foremost, what I would like to address is couple players. First and foremost, DeAndre Swift. Okay, I currently have him as my number 19 ranked running back because the expectation for him is that he's going to be limited to a capacity which, yes, he's still going to get himself probably 10 touches, and though he's not going to be fully healthy in those 10 touches, we know he's a good enough running back, and the Green Bay Packers defense is not talented enough with all the pieces that they're missing this week to be able to stop him at an efficient level to where DeAndre Swift is not a startable option. Now, if they were playing against, the Buffalo Bills, I'd be a little bit more concerned about it. But considering we know he's going to get probably a good scaling of opportunity in terms of touches, 10 or more, I mean, probably not going to be any more than 11 at most, mainly because the organization, the coaching staff, they already know that he's not at a full capacity. And I don't know why they don't just give him another week off here, but they're going to play him injured and potentially risk him getting even further injured or re-aggravating said shoulder and ankle injury. Nonetheless, I expect him to still be an efficient part of this offense. As to what his total upside is, it's certainly not as high as it could be because he's limited on terms of overall snaps and touches. Another player that potentially, who's another guy that may be like on that fringe? We expect Allen Lazard to play. That's another guy that was obviously not playing last week due to injury. Other than that, if anything comes to mind, I'll address it. All right, let's go ahead. Let me answer some questions. Here we go. Beginning with Ozzy Reyna. Thank you very much, Ozzy. Appreciate it. Says in a standard league, Andrew, I need you to pick 2 of these potential players. We have Pittman, Lazard, Curtis Samuel, Duvernay. If we're playing in a straight standard league, I'd probably go Lazard and Duvernay there. We have the highest likelihood of touchdowns between those 2 prospects within the given matchup. And then your following question was, pick one between A.J. Dillon and Deon Jackson for this week. If I'm picking one between those 2, I'd go Deon Jackson. And then we're following up with Cincinnati or Miami defense. I would rather play Miami's defense this week, mainly because Cincinnati's top 3 cornerbacks, their entire starting secondary, Chidobe Awuzie, Eli Apple, Hinton, all 3 of those guys, the 2 outside corners and the slot corner, all going to be out today. So it's going to be very difficult to be able to stop everything on the back end with Terrace Marshall and DJ Moore obviously finding success while also being, in a position where you have to stop the run against D'Onta Foreman, who's obviously looked great in the last couple weeks. So I'm going to go ahead and play Miami's defense there. I don't really trust Cincinnati as of right now. We'll talk about rankings for defenses probably at like 8:30 a.m. We'll also go ahead and talk about specific. Yeah, we'll talk about kickers and defenses at 8:30, 9 o'clock, and 9:30. So every 30 minutes, I'll spice it in there, giving you guys those rankings that aren't available on screen. But if you guys are just joining us, again, if you have any questions, rankings are on screen as of this morning, up to date, so that if in fact you need to figure out which of the 2 players to go after within a singular position, that should hopefully help you. Thank you. Okay, so after answering Ozzy, appreciate that again. Kyle sends in a question, says, in a PPR scoring format, Andrew, do I play Amon-Ra St. Brown or do I play D'Onta Foreman? Let me know, Sunday Viking. All right, by Sunday Viking, interesting. As of right now, I'm fairly certain I'm going to go check my full PPR. I'm fairly certain it's going to be Amon-Ra St. Brown as my suggestion as to what I have ranked via Patreon. So I currently have my Amon-Ra St. Brown in a full PPR as my number 16 overall player, while D'Onta Foreman is my number 25. So he's about 10 spots ahead of him, 9 exact. So I'm going to go ahead and play Amon-Ra St. Brown there. With no Josh Reynolds active today, with a limited DeAndre Swift, there is still going to be a little bit of usage from Khalil Raymond, but probably like 3 or 4 catches within that. The rest of the work with no TJ Hawkinson within this lineup is all going to go in the direction of Amon-Ra St. Brown, and I'm expecting him to find a lot of success in doing so. Probably like 12 targets minimum today. All right, moving on. Thank you, Kyle. Fabian sends in a question, says, bro, Aaron Rodgers or Kyler Murray? Appreciate you. Yeah, no problem. Again, rankings are on screen, so you don't have to send in those donations, but I do greatly appreciate you helping the cause. As for the 2, I think Aaron Rodgers is a very safe 2 touchdowns today. Again, the stat that I mentioned earlier this week is that in 12 consecutive games for Aaron Rodgers against the Detroit Lions defense, he has scored 2 or more passing touchdowns. So he is obviously primed and ready for one of these games, which he gets probably 225 passing yards, 2 touchdowns, and we're good to go. Doesn't turn over the ball, and he's a solid play there. But if you want upside and someone that could very easily meet that floor, but even go surpass that, I mean, Kyler Murray's there with the rushing yards, with the ability to go ahead and potentially have a shootout against the Seattle Seahawks today. So in my opinion, I'd rather just go ahead, play the upside there. I know the safety of Rodgers could be, something that you're interested in, but I think there's just as much safety in the base play of Kyler, much less the overall upside that we can potentially reach in that regard. All right, moving on. Fabian, thank you very much. Taylor sends in a question, says, I see that you have DK above Josh Palmer. Yeah, I've changed it up a little bit. When I was changing my rankings up last night, early this morning, I thought to myself, okay, if in fact I'm so highly convinced that DK Metcalf is going to have an incredible performance because he really hasn't played well against the Arizona Cardinals in the last 3 matchups he's faced against them, is that considerably blinding me to the potential truth of what this offense currently is and the way that they utilize him in comparison to what they used to. I was almost convinced that I blinded myself with numbers, because what the overall play shows when I watch these games back is that DK and Geno, obviously Tyler Lockett. I can't believe I said Tyler 1. Obviously, Tyler Lockett is the number 1 within that offense. That's where I was trying to go, and it all just got completely blended. Goodness gracious, that's interesting. If anybody understands the reference, then if you know, you know. Either way. So as of right now, yes, I do have DK ahead of him. I'd rather just play my stud in that regard. And after watching all the film that I have this season, it is tough to sit Metcalf in any sort of capacity, even though it is a matchup which he hasn't found success in the past. It doesn't mean that, it's excluded from his potential outcomes today. That's why I'm just feeling a little bit more comfortable with that as of right now. Yes, I am a League of Legends guy, or I used to be at least, at a pretty high capacity. Thank you. All right, appreciate that, Taylor. All right, moving on. Let's see here. We have healing medication. Dude, I'm cooked right now. All right, meditation says, Raheem Mostert or Josh Palmer today, Andrew? Yeah, all right. So considering there wasn't a scoring format attached to that question, I'm just going to go ahead and answer it in regards to a half PPR. So if, in fact, we go check my rankings, Foreman is there. Actually, no, it's Mostert question, sorry. Mostert, where art thou? Mostert's my number 33. Josh Palmer's my number 35 and a half PPR. So I would play Mostert over him. Thank you. Appreciate it. Moving on, Mario says, Christian Kirk or Devin Duvernay? I have Christian Kirk ahead of him in all scoring formats except for probably a standard league. In a half PPR, full PPR, I'd rather play Christian Kirk at this capacity. Thank you. Salvador sends in a question, says, Thielen, Garrett Wilson, or Deon Jackson in a half PPR scoring format? Fairly certain I'm going to have Deon Jackson above the bunch. Let me confirm this. Let's see here. Control F. Deon Jackson. So Deon Jackson in a half PPR, currently my number 38 on the board. In comparison to, he's significantly ahead of the other two options that you've mentioned. Now, this being said, Adam Thielen's not a bad play today, mainly because the issue is we're not 100% certain if that touchdown dependency is going to get there, because if he doesn't score a touchdown, his overall top of the top limit is 10 fantasy points, right? So that's always been the concern with him. Obviously, Garrett Wilson has the toughest matchup between the bunch. So for right now, we're leaning in the direction of playing Deon Jackson there in a half PPR. Thank you very much, Salvador. All right, JP, let's see what you got here. It says, good morning, Andrew. I hope you're doing well. I'm doing great. Thank you. Just a little bit brain scrambled as of right now. But, we're just waking up pretty much. Your question was Taysom Hill or Jeff Wilson Jr. in the flex. I'd rather play Taysom Hill. I think there's a guarantee that Taysom Hill probably rushes the ball more this week. Then Jeff Wilson gets a little bit more incorporation within the starting offense in comparison. So, Taysom Hill, a guy that as of right now in a half PPR, pretty much putting up like 8 to 9 points per game. Within that range, if you're going to keep doing that without scoring touchdowns, I think he's certainly got himself 15-point upside if he falls into the end zone this week against the Ravens on Monday night. And then your follow-up question is, or should I drop one of them and pick up Rachaad White and or Isaiah Pacheco? No, I think I'm pretty comfortable playing Taysom Hill over the entire bunch. And then you have Likely over Andrews for the tight end spot. Yeah, I'm perfectly fine with that. I'd play Likely at tight end. I'd play Taysom Hill in the flex, and you're good to go there. Someone in the chat was asking, did I miss the defensive rankings? You have not yet. I will be mentioning defensive rankings and kicker rankings probably every 30 minutes. So we'll do it at 8:30 a.m. PST, or if you're on the East Coast, 11:30. So we'll do it every 30 minutes. So we'll do it 8:30, 9, 9:30, and we'll be good to go. 3 solid segments, just giving you guys updated rankings via kickers and defenses. Thank you. All right, moving on. Blake says, why do you have Allgeier over Brian Robinson? All right, so the main reason is because, quite frankly, Brian Robinson's utilization within this offense, though it has been significantly higher than a lot of other running backs over the course of the last month, the efficiency in which he does produce is not high enough to keep him on the field. And with Antonio Gibson continuing to be a guy that is extremely efficient as a receiving back, I'm very much so expecting this game to turn into a game where the Minnesota Vikings take an early lead and are able to just run the clock. And what that will potentially cause on the other side of the field for the Washington Commanders is that their game script is going to be at a pretty negative standpoint, and they're going to have to throw for a majority of that game in order to get back into this, overall, conversation. So the reason why I specifically have Brian Robinson lower isn't against, it isn't because Tyler Allgeier is like that much better than him. It's mainly because his current game script is probably not going to be in the perfect position. Now, what Allgeier has an advantage, the advantage that Allgeier has is mainly because of matchup and mainly because Cordarrelle Patterson's coming off of the IR, right? If Cordarrelle Patterson had already had 2 weeks of full reps, Allgeier would probably be outside of my top 30 because I'd expect, Cordarrelle Patterson to most likely dominate the overall rushing attempts in this given game. But considering we have seen weeks 2, 3, and 4, When Cordarrelle Patterson was with Allgeier had himself 26 rushing attempts, while Cordarrelle had 36 in those 3 weeks. If we're going to continue to see Allgeier touch the ball 10 times per game, he's playing against the LA Chargers, which give up 6.06 yards per carry on average this season. I'm expecting him to be a very efficient running back and, of course, get himself a high volume of touches in an offense that obviously wants to run the ball more than any other team in the league. All right, appreciate it. Thank you. Nathan J says, would you go Eno Benjamin or Terrace Marshall in a standard? I would legitimately play Terrace Marshall today in a standard. Thank you, Nathan. Appreciate that. Dr. Waffles 31 says, in a full PPR, who do you like this week? We have Chris Godwin or Leonard Fournette. I'm fairly certain in a full PPR. Let me confirm this. I have Chris Godwin ahead of Leonard Fournette in a full PPR scoring format this week. So that's where I'd go. And then your follow-up question is, that's it. All right, awesome. Thank you, Dr. Waffles. Appreciate that. Jimmy Casket, what's up, man? How you doing? What's up, Andrew? Hopefully you're doing well. I am doing well. I appreciate you sending that in. No question. Awesome. Sounds good. I mean, Jimmy, you have access to the Patreon ranking, so you're good to go if you have any questions in regards to that. So appreciate that. Thank you. All right, let's see here. Sergio sends in a question. Thank you, Sergio. Appreciate it. Standard sit one. Thielen, Curtis Samuel, Patterson. I would sit Curtis Samuel this week. Even though Curtis Samuel is getting more and more utilization as a running back, again, I think the overall idea of this team running the ball for majority of the game is potentially out of the likelihood of, I mean, you never know. Look, the Commanders could come out and completely blow out the Minnesota Vikings. It's not out of the realm of possibility. It's the NFL, any given Sunday, right? But if we're talking about the most possible outcomes that I've expected based on opportunity, based on all the variables that I take into account, Patterson and Thielen are my two. Yeah, those are the two guys that I would like to play out of the three. I'd sit Curtis Samuel there, Sergio. Thank you. Kyle sends in a question, says, Draven Misfortune full PPR. Hey, Misfortune is broken right now. It's not even a joke. Like, she's actually broken right now. Appreciate that, Kyle. Thanks. Jay says, good morning. Confident Gus Edwards will not play. Yes, I'm fairly confident that he will not play. Now, again, even if he does play, we got to remember it's a hamstring injury. It's a hamstring strain in specific, right? So the concern is that he could potentially restrain that even if he does play. But the main reason why I'm confident that he's not going to play is because he didn't practice the whole week and they have a bye week next week. So it's easily in the position where they're going to give him this week's rest and next week, and then he'll be back week 11. Somebody in the chat was asking Rodgers or Murray. Fabian, again, if you weren't here to listen to it, I'm going with Murray there. Somebody in the chat asked Terrace Marshall or Benjamin. I answered this a little bit before. Terrace Marshall is my suggestion there. Again, for those of you who are just joining us this morning, welcome. Good morning. We have rankings on screen to the right of me, updated for the top 36 running backs, wide receivers, and top 16 tight ends and quarterbacks. This is for a 4-point per passing touchdown league, 12.5 PPR scoring format. So if, in fact, you have a question that needs to be answered within a singular position, hopefully the rankings on the right side of the screen will help. If not, hopefully by me answering other people's questions in the chat via donation, I will be also answering your questions via proxy of that, and maybe you catch a couple straight questions answered because of other people asking, and it helps you out. So hopefully that goes. Somebody was asking Tyler Conklin or Waller if he goes. I don't expect Waller to go. Even if he does, I probably just wouldn't play him because I don't know what kind of capacity we're expecting to see Waller at, given the entire situation of his hamstring strain that he's been dealing with. All right, let's see here. Moving on. Whit sends in a question. Thank you very much, Whit. Says, standard league, Dion, Jamaal, Swift, Gabe Davis, Boyd, Dylan. Okay, so as of right now, if I'm playing a running back out of that bunch, Whit, I'd play Jamaal Williams. If I'm playing a wide receiver out of this bunch, so you're basically asking, are we sitting those players? And my response to it would probably be yes, only because, let me think about this. Am I playing Palmer in a standard league over Tyler Boyd? Because I'm not playing him over Gabriel Davis because I know that Gabriel Davis is just way too much potential upside in that regard. I would probably, come on, Herbert. The only difference that I would change here, the only thing that I would change here, Whit, is that if you had the potential of starting, like, if Swift is your flex in this regard, and you're playing Dion and Jamaal as your 1 and 2, I'd play Palmer at that flex with Gabe and Boyd. If not, then I just play Palmer over Boyd in a standard league there. Thank you. Adam Thompson says, in a half PPR, Andrew, Rondell Moore or Kenyon Drake? I'm 8-0, thank you. All right, well, congratulations on being 8-0. There's not a lot of you left, to be totally honest. In terms of that capacity, I don't even have an 8-0 team anymore. I have a couple 7-1s, but that's the max. And I caught those L's early. All right, so in terms of your question, let's see here. We have Rondale Moore, and then let me find Kenyon Drake in these half PPR rankings. So currently, I have Kenyon Drake. I think he's below him. Yeah, I played Rondale Moore there this week. Thank you. Appreciate it, Adam. Thank you. And good luck. 9-0. It's coming soon. All right, we have Spencer sending in a question, says, DeAndre Swift or Deon Jackson this week? PPR must win. Yeah, listen, considering we know that DeAndre Swift is probably going to be capped out at probably 9, 10, 11 touches maximum, there's a high likelihood that Deon Jackson just outscores him purely because of the volume of touches that he'll get in comparison. Now, I know that the Colts did elevate Phillip Lindsay and another running back. I'm sure Zach Moss will be active today, but it does not mean that these guys are going to be getting, any sort of semblance of high volume that will impact the overall baseline of Deon Jackson. There's a reason why this team traded away Nyheim Hines. They were comfortable with what Deon Jackson presents on a weekly basis as that backup to fill in for Nyheim Hines going forward. So I'm expecting them to utilize him as the one-back offense, the main guy in today's game. So, yeah, I'm playing Deon Jackson there. Thank you very much, Spencer. Let's hear. Romez says, PJ Walker or Gabe Davis in the Superflex? I'd play PJ Walker there. Yeah, simply. Again, like I mentioned earlier, all 3 starting corners for this defense, for the Cincinnati Bengals, are out today. So that just only helps PJ Walker's overall, argument. Bald God says, full PPR flex, Cordarrelle Patterson or Curtis Samuel? I'm fairly certain my suggestion is going to be Cordarrelle Patterson. Let's see here. Where do I have Curtis Samuel in comparison on my full PPR list? Where's Curtis Samuel on this thing? Yeah, so I have Cordarrelle Patterson at 41, Curtis Samuel at 59. So they're pretty far apart. I'd play Cordarrelle Patterson there. Thank you. Miles has the question, says, greetings. Likely or Curtis Samuel, flex full PPR? I play Isaiah Likely there. Thank you. Moving on, we have a question from Jay. Says, confident Connor will play? And if so, how big of a role will he have? I mean, the confidence that I have in Connor mainly has to do with the fact that he participated in practice all week long. Now, if he had missed any sort of time late in the week, I would be a little bit more concerned about the matter. But considering that there was that immediate participation for the entirety of the week, that gives me enough confidence that, yes, I know he's dealing with a rib cartilage injury. It's mainly, pain management for him. If that's going to be something that holds him out, I mean, I think that he's been out long enough in comparison to when we look at other prospects that have dealt with this injury this season. I think it's been a good enough amount of time to where he's probably going to come back, probably going to be in that range of, I'd say very similar to DeAndre Swift getting himself 10, maybe to 13 touches today. And if he's able to do so specifically on the goal line, again, we know how Connor functions. He could very easily go for 10 carries for 50 yards, pops in a touchdown there, and his whole week is made. Or maybe even multiple touchdowns because of what we've seen in the past. But, there's still going to be Eno Benjamin in this backfield. I'm expecting Eno Benjamin to probably be utilized as the primary third down back, whether that's pass blocking or receiving. And I'm expecting Connor to pretty much dominate the running workload there. Thank you. All right, Marvin Lewis says, good morning. Standard league. I need to start 2 out of these potential options. We have Swift, we have Deon Jackson, we have Godwin. I would play Deon Jackson and Godwin this week, to be totally honest. Again, Swift's limited capacity in comparison to these other options just make it that much easier for me to just commit to these other guys. Thank you. J-Rod says, your channel is second to none. Thank you very much. Appreciate all the work that you put in. 12-man or full PPR league. Appreciate that, J-Rod. We need a flex for this week. Isaiah Pacheco or Alec Pierce, Terrace Marshall. Currently, I have Terrace Marshall ranked highest amongst the group in full PPR. That's my suggestion. Thank you very much. Lucky Slevin says, I have Higbee and Christian Kirk starting. My bench is Cordarrelle Patterson and Jeff Wilson Jr. Would you sub anyone from the bench at flex or pick up Sanders or Likely off waiver? Sanders. Am I crazy? Because the only Sanders I'm thinking of is Miles Sanders. The only other Sanders that I know in the league besides Miles Sanders is Jason Sanders. So who are we talking about? I mean, either way, at this point, I would rather play Likely over Higbee. But that's the thing. If you're going to have to drop someone off of your team like Jeff Wilson to do that, just for a 1-week play, I guess it's a matter of you have to look at the matchup in which you're playing in, and you got to determine if you need that couple extra point boost. If that's the case, then maybe the swap is necessary. If not, then you pivot. Oh, Deon Jackson, that's who you're mentioning. Okay, so it wasn't Sanders. So if you have the ability to pick up Deon Jackson, am I playing him over Christian Kirk? I mean, in a half PPR scoring format, I think I'm even playing Cordarrelle Patterson over Christian Kirk. But the question is that a flex position? Because yeah, if that's a flex question overall, yes, I would rather play Deon Jackson and Cordarrelle Patterson over Higbee and Christian Kirk outright today. Hopefully that helps. Thank you, Lucky. Legion sends in a question, says, do I start Herbert or Tua this week? I prefer Tua. I mean, mainly because Justin Herbert has all of the receiving threats for his team injured. Keenan Allen, Mike Williams, DeAndre Carter limited, but will still be active. You have, what's his name missing? Why am I forgetting? Donald Parham's also missing due to a hamstring. So with all of that taken into consideration, I'm very comfortable playing Tua over Justin Herbert today. All right, for those of you who are just joining us, welcome, good morning. Again, I see a lot of questions in the chat in regards to questions that could be answered via the rankings on screen. Immediately to the right of me, we have up-to-date rankings as of this morning in a half PPR scoring format within a singular position. So if somebody was asking, do I play Hayden Hurst or Isaiah Likely? I have Isaiah Likely as my number 5 ranked tight end, while we have Hayden Hurst all the way there at number 11. If in fact you are on mobile and you cannot see the rankings on screen, I have the rankings also in the description of the video. So go down to the description, click on that, open the tab. I have it ranked top to bottom with numbers next to their names for quarterback, wide receiver, running back, tight end, all that ready to go down at the bottom of the screen. In about 16 minutes from now, I'll be mentioning my top 12 kickers and defenses for the week. For those of you who are interested, appreciate it. Thank you. Let's see here. Spencer says, start Higgins and Pittman or Higgins and Boyd in a full PPR. I'd rather play both the Cincinnati wide receivers today. I play Higgins and Boyd today. Thank you. Legion says, do I start Olave or Kenneth Walker at the flex? Yeah, as of right now, I'm playing Kenneth Walker there at the flex. Thank you. Appreciate it. Logan Semple says, happy Sunday, Andrew and everyone. Yes, happy Sunday. Should be fun here. Would love your quick thoughts on Brandon Cooks moving forward. Listen, Brandon Cooks could very easily be, a part of that organization for the remainder of the year. Just the quick thoughts on it. I'm expecting that he's either going to be playing for this team rest of the way or, they cut their losses. I doubt that they want to cut their losses unless there's, they're going to come to some sort of conclusion where they don't pay him the remainder that's on his contract. But he's got a fat contract that he signed this offseason with them. And I don't think he's trying to give up that money. So at this point, I don't expect him to be moving anytime soon because I don't think that they want to pay him to not play for them. So yeah, at this point, you're saying may have to drop with all the buys, or do I hold? Yeah, I don't really know what they can really. I don't know what they're gonna do with him because quite frankly, I doubt that they're gonna cut him outright. So you might have to just drop him. That if in fact he's obviously impacting your given weeks. Satoshi sends in a question, says, good morning, Andrew. Thanks as always for the great work. Thank you very much. Appreciate it. Okay, you got 2 questions here. Deon Jackson or Thielen in a full PPR, and then follow up Deon Jackson or PJ Walker in a half PPR. So if you're talking about PJ Walker as in the quarterback for the Carolina Panthers, and we're not talking about like Kenneth Walker or anything like that, yes, I would much rather play the quarterback Walker over Deon Jackson this week. And then if we're talking about Deon Jackson versus Thielen in a full PPR, let me confirm this. Let's see where Deon is in comparison. Yes, I have Deon Jackson ahead of Matt Thielen, but it's not by a lot. It's not by a significant margin. But either way, if I had to make a play this week, I'd probably just play Deon Jackson there. And that's pretty much it. Thank you very much, Satoshi. Appreciate it. All right, Rowit Pratty says, start 2, Gibson, Palmer, Dion, Hines. Okay, Hines I cannot play. I just can't afford to do it. It's a matter of then Gibson and Palmer as the 2 starters that I'd like to go with there. Thank you. DeAndre Warren says, trade for rest of the season. Ayuk for CEH and Duvernay. Ayuk for CEH and Duvernay. Man, Ayuk has looked really good in the last 3 weeks here. Do I trust giving him away for CEH? I don't really like CEH there. So I think it's really a matter of, am I giving away Ayuk for Duvernay straight up and hoping that being the number 1 in a Lamar Jackson-led offense is going to be enough to sustain my value. Quite frankly, I think I might just keep Ayuk there, to be totally honest. I think I think I'm just keeping Ayuk. Chris Hammers says, in a half PPR scoring format, 0.2 per rush. Okay, awesome. Extra for 50-yard and 40-yard touchdowns, and additional fantasy points for every 100 or 200 yards. Which of the following are we going with here? Okay, cool. So, with that all mentioned, we have Isaiah Likely, we have DeAndre Swift, we have Michael Pittman. Okay, so which one of the three are we playing in the flex? So if we're playing in a half PPR, 0.2 per rush, I expect probably 5 or 6 rushing attempts out of DeAndre Swift. So he's not really going to get much of an impact there. A big yardage touchdown is probably unlikely for all these guys. I don't think any of these guys surpass 100 yards. So it's just a raw, straight up half PPR ranking that we're looking for, from my perspective here. And if that's going to be the case, yes, I would much rather. Let's see here. Where do I have him? Yeah, I currently have Isaiah Likely as my number 46 player in a half PPR in comparison to Michael Pittman as of number 49. So I'm going to go with my Isaiah Likely suggestion there. Thank you. Appreciate it. All right, Jeffrey, what's up? Thank you very much for the generous donation. Says, why is Allen Robinson higher than Curtis Samuel now? Robinson jumped from 33 to 26. Yes, that's correct. And Curtis Samuel from 25. Okay, well, hold on. Wait. Here's the thing, right? In comparison, it's all a matter of okay, so are we referring to Wednesday's video? Because Thursday rankings for Patreon were completely different. So you may be working off of a different baseline than I am, right? In terms of the progression in which they jump to the rankings that they're currently at. So I think that could be a little bit of a kind of lost in translation progression there. But I've had Allen Robinson, really close to Curtis Samuel since Thursday. Now, as to the reason why I've kind of shifted in this direction, mainly has to do with the matchup. With all the cornerbacks for this team pretty much being a little bit banged up for Tampa Bay, and the fact that we're already seeing in the last 2 games, Allen Robinson's putting up a baseline of 5 catches, 54 yards-ish. If we're going to get ourselves in a half PPR scoring format, it's about 7.5 points, full PPR, 10 points. And then he always will have 1 to 2 red zone targets within the 10-yard line within, every game, every week, like we have seen this season. If he has that potential of getting himself 7.5 to 10 fantasy points, which I think Curtis Samuel's pretty much topped off at, but he has the upside of getting himself 13.5 to 16 fantasy points, that's why I prefer the likes of Allen Robinson right now. Thank you. Jaden Thornton says, I have an 8-0 team and a 7-1 team, huh? Chase went down, but I traded Lamar, Henderson, and Lockett for D-Hop, Juju, and Patterson. Should I do Chase for Gibson and Christian Kirk? No, I don't think you should. Again, if you have a 8-0 and 7-1 team, and the expectation is that Chase is going to return in 2 to 3 weeks from now, you're easily going to make the playoffs, considering you already have 8 wins in one league, right? If you're playing for example, if you're playing in a 12-team league, and we're in a position where only 6 teams make the playoffs, typically it takes 9 or more wins to make the playoffs if 6 teams only make it. If it's an 8-team get into the playoffs out of a 12-team league, you only need 7 wins. So you're already in a position where you don't need to make this trade, and you can just wait for Chase to return to your lineup. Harris says, standard league, pick 2, Jamaal Williams, Gabe Davis, Terry McLaurin. Of the 3 options in a straight standard league, yeah, I'm probably playing Jamaal Williams and Gabe Davis there, just going for touchdown upside between the 2 ultimately. Thank you. Let's see here. We're almost at 8:30. Okay, Matthew Thompson says, Andrew the GOAT, Jacoby Myers or Cordarrelle Patterson in a half PPR scoring format today. I'm fairly certain that's going to be close. Let's see here. So where do I have Jacoby Myers? Myers right now sits ahead of Cordarrelle Patterson. Myers is my number 29 player. Cordarrelle my number 32 on a half PPR flex format. Thank you. Neo says, full PPR. Got to start 3 this week. We have Swift, Deon, J-Rob, and Kenyon Drake. If it's my team, I'm playing Kenyon Drake, Deon Jackson, and DeAndre Swift, and I'm benching James Robinson, mainly based on the fact that he's going to be limited with his injury. Appreciate it. Cyanide says, half PPR, flex, Curtis Samuel, Isaiah Likely, or James Conner. I'm fairly certain. In a half PPR, where is James Conner in comparison? Dude, I have James Conner at number 45 and Isaiah Likely at number 46, right back to back with each other in a half PPR scoring format. So it's really a coin toss between the two. I think they probably both score very similar outcome of points. Again, there could be upside if additional bigger plays, touchdowns, stuff like that really do make impacts in an overall scoreline are to occur in comparison to one another. But at this point, yeah, they're back-to-back. Connor, Likely, and Samuel in that order. Thank you. Bald God says, Curtis Samuel or Josh Palmer? Yeah, I'm going to play Josh Palmer in a full PPR there. Again, Curtis Samuel's target share in comparison to what we saw earlier this year is not significant enough for me to trust it in that regard. In comparison to, of course, Josh Palmer, who will be probably the number 2 or 3 option today behind Ekeler, but that's significant enough to where he's probably getting himself close to 10 targets. Charles Taylor sent in a donation. There wasn't a message attached to it, but here we go. We found it. Charles Taylor asks, in a full PPR, Tyler Lockett or Deon Jackson? I would much rather I'd much rather play Tyler Lockett. Like, it is a significant separation between him and Deon Jackson this week. I do appreciate that. Thank you. All right. So after Charles, we had a couple questions here from Joe Boggs says, half PPR, Wan'Dale Robinson or Rhamondre Stevenson? I'm fairly certain I have Rhamondre ahead of him. Let me confirm. Yes, I have Rhamondre at 12. I have not Wan'Dale Robinson. It said Jalen Waddle, right? Yeah. I look at Waddle and Rhamondre, and I made Wan'Dale. Like, the dyslexia that I have that plagues me every day really is cooking me. So yeah, Waddle and Rhamondre was your main question. I have Rhamondre at 12. I have Waddle at 17 in a half PPR. So I'm going to play Rhamondre mainly because the expectation is that Damian Harris does not play today. He didn't practice the entire week. He's been dealing with an illness, wasn't even active at practice yesterday throughout the walkthroughs. So yeah, it's going to be all Rhamondre all day today. Pedro's Lucario says, standard, start one. Okay, we have to start one. We have 2 flex options. Okay, cool. So here it is. David Montgomery, Deon Jackson, Isaiah Likely, Alec Pierce. So if we're starting one flex, and this is a weird question. It says start one flex, and then it says 2. What does that even mean? I'm just going to give you the order in which I like these players, Pedro. In a standard scoring format, I would order it Deon Jackson, Isaiah Likely, David Montgomery, Alec Pierce in that order. Thank you. Ernesto sends in a question, says, another week, another kickoff with Kirchhoff. That's right. Thank you, Ernesto. Appreciate it. Silver Winter says, full PPR, Olave, DJ Moore, or Deon Jackson. In a full PPR scoring format, I do prefer DJ Moore above the rest. It would be a DJ Moore, Olave, Deon Jackson in that order. So I'm playing the 2 wide receivers certainly above him. Thoughts on Cam Akers, says Daddy in the chat. As of right now, I have him ranked. I expect him to be dressing today. As to the amount of utilization he earns, that's probably going to be behind Darrell Henderson and probably Ronnie Rivers. So I currently have him pretty low ranked in comparison to all the running backs I have on my list. I'm expecting him to be active. I don't know what to expect. Does anybody have a Reddit article that has any leaks in regards to that backfield anymore? Because that'd be greatly appreciated like last week, guys. Alex sends in a question, says, Curtis Samuel or A.J. Dillon in my second flex full PPR this week. Currently have Curtis Samuel ahead of him. Thank you. Appreciate it. Let's see here. Where are we at? Okay, so quick reminder for those of you who are just joining us. If you guys could do me a solid, click that like button down below. Certainly does help out the channel a bunch. Also, immediately to the right of me, as you guys can see, there are player names. These are rankings as of this morning. So if, in fact, you have a question within a singular position, for example, I see Donald Smith and Cody both have questions in regards to quarterbacks. The quarterback rankings are immediately to the right of me. They are there. Wait, where are they? Yeah, they're over there. The green screen's cutting off my hand. They're over there on the other, right over there. As we have Aaron Rodgers at 8, and we have, Kirk Cousins at 10, and we have Justin Fields at 4, and Justin Herbert at 9, right? The order in which I would play them, top to bottom, in those rankings. So if you guys have any questions within individual positions, hopefully that helps you guys out. We're at about 8:26. In about 4 minutes here, I'll mention my top 12 kickers and defenses for today, and hopefully that'll kind of give you guys a little bit of help. But if you guys have a question, again, the rankings on screen hopefully help. And if they don't, and you have a question in regards to a flex play or something to that extent, hopefully I'll be able to get to the chat. But hopefully by proxy of answering somebody else's question, I might be able to answer yours. Hopefully that helps. Thank you. The rankings on screen, Shahir, are for half PPR. The main idea is because full PPR standard, which you were referring to, or is it standard or full PPR? No, I'm just meeting everyone in the middle like I usually do. Appreciate it. Thank you. Okay, let's see here. After Silver Winter and Alec, we had a question from Mike. Mike says, start 3, Boyd, Deon Jackson, Christian Kirk, and Palmer. Okay, so if we're starting 3 out of this group in a full PPR, Let me confirm this. Let's go to my tab, full PPR. Because I know Christian Kirk moves up a little bit in my full PPR rankings. I just don't know if he's ahead of Boyd at that point. Let me see here. Where art thou? So we have Christian Kirk there. And then where's Deon Jackson on this list? Deon Jackson's there. Okay, so yeah, at this point, my suggestion to you would be to start all three wide receivers there, Mike. Play Boyd, Christian Kirk, and Palmer all ahead of Deon Jackson in a full PPR scoring format. Thank you very much. Fernando in the chat was asking, how do you feel about starting Terrace Marshall? I feel really good about it. I currently have him as my number, let me check this, in a, where is he? In a full PPR scoring format, he's my number 30. Is he 37 in both of them? Let me check. No. So in a full PPR, he's my number 37 wide receiver. In my half PPR, he's my number 38 wide receiver. So he's just off the list today, but he is in a very good position to where if you need a solid wide receiver 3 that has the potential of getting about 8 to 9, 10 points in this given week, I think it's very capable for him to accomplish, mainly because, again, like I've mentioned on multiple occasions today, Chidobe Awuzie, torn ACL, Hinton, their slot corners out, Eli Apple's dealing with an injury. I mean, there could be even more injuries that we're not aware of, but that secondary is a little beat up as of right now. And with that being the case, I think this is a great opportunity for the Carolina Panthers to string together another great offensive performance, specifically with DJ Moore, Terrace Marshall, PJ Walker slinging the rock. Appreciate it. Okay, let's see here. We have Dalton Robertson says, in a full PPR, Mostert, Deon Jackson, or Palmer in the flex. Herbert is my quarterback if that matters. It doesn't really matter in my mind, but either way, I think we might get to a position here where Palmer's the suggestion. Let me check. We have, where the heck is Mostert? Let's see here, because I know So as of right now, I have Josh Palmer ahead of both of those options in a full PPR scoring format. So in that point, even though that wasn't the determining factor, yes, you're stacking the two, him and Herbert, this today. Thank you. Let's see here. All right, it's 8:30. So let's go ahead and really quickly, let me give you guys a little bit of an idea here as to what my top 12 kickers and defenses look like this week. Just so if, in fact, you need to make any switches for today, that can help you guys out. All right, here we go. You ready? I'm going to do this as cleanly as I possibly can. So be sure to click the like button down below. Help us out. And let's get to this. Top 12 defensive rankings for week 9 of the 2022 fantasy football season. Of course, the rankings that I'm mentioning do not include teams that have already played. Okay, so there's no Eagles involved here. Otherwise, they were one of the higher ranked defenses on the week prior to Thursday. All right, number 1, Buffalo Bills. Number 2, New England Patriots. Number 3, Kansas City Chiefs. And I'll tell you exactly why. The expectation is that Ryan Tannehill is a game time decision. Even if Ryan Tannehill plays, I'm all in on playing the Kansas City Chiefs against Tannehill and or Malik Willis. All in on it. Because all they have to do is stop the run, and I think they're capable of doing that when that's the only option that the Titans could quite frankly threaten with in this given week. So, number 3, Kansas City Chiefs. Number 4, Tampa Bay Buccaneers. Of course, the Rams are giving up the most points to opposing defenses thus far this season on average, thanks to Matthew Stafford and the pick sixes that he throws. Number 5, LA Rams. Number 6, Minnesota Vikings. Number 7, Baltimore Ravens. Number 8, Seattle Seahawks. Number 9, Cincinnati Bengals. Number 10, Indianapolis Colts. Number 11, Jacksonville Jaguars. Number 12, Green Bay Packers. If you need to hear that again, click the rewind button. Listen to that boom, bang, bop. Moving on, let's talk about top 12 kickers for this week. Number 1, Baltimore Ravens kicker Justin Tucker. Number 2, Jason Myers. Number 3, Daniel Carlson. Number 4, Evan McPherson. Number 5, Harrison Butker. Number 6, Nick Folk. Number 7, Younghoe Koo. Number 8, Tyler Bass. Number 9, Ryan Suckup. Number 10, Jason Sanders. Number 11, Will Lutz. Number 12, Michael Badgley. Hopefully that gives you a little bit of an idea as to where I'm going with those rankings at kicker and defense. Appreciate you all hanging in there and getting that going. Waller out again. Yep, that was the expectation, Wayne. Appreciate it. Again, there's a reason why I have Foster Moreau ranked where I do on screen right now, and why I have Mac Hollins where I do right now, because the expectation was that he was going to miss and not play. You know, the interesting thing that I read earlier this morning from Ian Rappaport was that the Green Bay Packers checked in on trading for Darren Waller, but they wouldn't give enough to get him in return. And that was an interesting thing, because I know that they had went after him during the offseason as soon as Devontae Adams was pretty much gone. and they traded him away. They tried to trade away Adams prior to, giving away for picks. They tried to trade him for Waller and picks, but they never got him in exchange anyway. Anyway, let's see here. Where are we at? After Dalton, we had Falcon Beast 9. It says, in a non-PPR scoring format, Kenyon Drake or AJ Dillon? This week, I would play AJ Dillon. Yeah. As much as I like Kenyon Drake, I still think it's going to be a little bit of rotation between him and Justice Hill. So I'm going to play AJ Dillon there against Detroit's terrible run-stopping defense. Enemies within says full PPR McLaurin or Deon Jackson this week. In a full PPR, I'd rather play Terry McLaurin. And in your follow-up question, Hardman or Hendo, I think it's probably, even though it is crazy to say, I think it's probably safer to just straight up play McCole Hardman. I like Henderson, and I like the potential that in which he has against this Tampa Bay defense, but considering I don't really know what the split is going to be within this backfield between him, Akers, and Ronnie Rivers, I think it's just safer to play Hardman there. Anthony Ramos says, in a full PPR, start 3, we have White, we have Hines, we have Eno, we have Henderson, we have Pacheco. Yeah, I mean, as of this moment, let's go ahead and check my full PPR rankings just to confirm at running back. So of the group, I currently have, it would still be in this. And for starting 3 of these options, it's Hendo, Pacheco, and Rachaad White. Mainly because I don't expect Eno Benjamin to get much utilization in the receiving game. He'll get himself rushing attempts, but in terms of the receiving game and his potential there, they're not going to be in a negative enough game script to need him to be utilized in that capacity. Oliver says 1,400 people are awake at 8:30 on a Sunday. Hey, listen, 1,400 people have priorities. You understand? We got priorities. We got to get our lineup set. We got to make sure we're winning this week's matchup. So I respect you guys coming out here. I appreciate y'all. Again, there's 1,400 of you in here. If you guys can just click that like button, takes 2 seconds out of your day, would be greatly helpful to the channel. Thank you very much. Appreciate it, guys. All right, Anthony, moving on from Anthony, we're talking about Ishmael Ramirez says, we have to pick 2 out of the following: Swift, Jamaal Williams, Curtis Samuel, half PPR. At that point, I'm probably just playing Swift and Samuel. Sorry, it's not Samuel. I'm playing Swift and Jamaal, excuse me. I'm just gathering all of the running back value there and just taking it outright. I do not want to see any sort of value slip between the cracks of that Detroit backfield. So just play both Swift and Jamaal. You're good to go there, Ramirez. Thank you. Derek Brown says full PPR, Robbie Anderson, KJ Osborne, Julio Jones. I currently have it ranked Julio, Osborne, and Robbie Anderson. Julio, Osborne, Anderson. In that order, Julio being the guy that I'm starting. Appreciate it, guys. Let's see here. Hamza sends in a question, says, in a full PPR, DJ Moore, Romeo Doubs, or Garrett Wilson. Yeah, it's DJ Moore by a metric mile. I don't even know if that's a term, but yeah, it's by a significant margin. I don't even know what I'm saying anymore. DJ Moore's the guy. Thank you. Matthew Rosado says, Herbert or Tua? I'd much rather play Tua over Herbert, mainly because, again, his weapons are available and ready to go. Your follow-up question is, Allen Robinson or Caleb Huntley in a half PPR? I'd much rather play Allen Robinson because of the return of Cordarrelle Patterson. I expect the rotation to be Patterson, Allgeier, Huntley, Avery in that backfield going forward, which obviously leaves Huntley probably at like 5 to 6 rushing attempts today, but not enough for me to justify playing him over Allen Robinson. Thank you. Nate V says, in a full PPR, Swift or Dobbs in the flex? Great question. Let me go ahead and check that. Full PPR, let's look up Swift. I have Swift at number 49 in a full PPR in comparison to Romeo Dobbs at 60. Yeah, I'm playing DeAndre Swift there. Moving on. Thank you very much. Appreciate it. Phil says, Godwin or McLaurin full PPR? I'd rather play Godwin there. How do the matchups compare? I mean, matchup-wise, McLaurin going up against Patrick Peterson. I know Cameron Dantzler had a full practice on Friday, so I'm not too worried about that. It's just a matter of McLaurin's going to be in that. I know, quite frankly, both of them are probably going to be in that pass-only offensive scheme in today's matchup. I truly do expect the Commanders and Tampa Bay Buccaneers to throw the entire time. So that's one of the reasons why I have the Minnesota Vikings defense where I do and the Rams defense where I do, because if Tom Brady has to pass the whole time, that means he's getting hit a bunch. And if Taylor Heinicke's throwing a bunch, that means he's throwing a bunch of picks. But either way, in terms of Godwin, the main reason why I like him significantly more over McLaurin is his history of success against that Rams defense as a whole. I'm expecting him to get back into that and obviously produce. What do you mean 8 a.m.? It's 6 p.m. Where are you at? Where it's 6 p.m.? Are you on the EU? Is this EU time? Thank you very much, Phil. Appreciate it. Make Punk Rock Great Again says, I need two, Dylan Likely or Taysom Hill. Of those three options, I'm legitimately going to play Taysom Hill and Isaiah Likely there. Thank you. Appreciate it. Chris Moraga says, in a half PPR, flex, Khalil Herbert or Rondale Moore? I think I'm going to play Khalil Herbert there. Let me confirm this. Half PPR rankings. Let's look up Herbert. Where art thou, Herbert? All right, so I have Herbert there, and I have Rondale Moore there. Yeah, so I have Herbert at my number 51 and Rondale Moore as my number 55. So Khalil Herbert's a suggestion. Thank you. Appreciate it. Derek Brown says Samuel versus Hardman. Yeah, I'd play Curtis Samuel there in a full PPR. Again, the reason why I don't have Hardman on screen, I have him as my number 37 or 38 ranked wide receiver right now. Him and Karras Marshall like back and forth. The main reason why primarily has to do with the fact that, again, it's touchdown dependency with him. If he doesn't get those touchdowns, it's tough. Yeah. If I didn't have to worry about Mecole Hardman scoring touchdowns and that being his primary value point, and now that we have Kadarius Toney back in, or at least added into this entire mix, that's what kind of hesitates me on that factor. So I'd go Curtis Samuel there. Thank you. Colin Hayes says, I give Okay, this is an interesting question. I give Diggs and Jones for Jacobs, Andrews, and Cooper. It's a 3 wide receiver league and a flex. I have Rhamondre and no RB3. Okay. And Godwin, Olave, Pittman, Duvernay, and Marquise Hollywood Brown. Interesting squad here. So am I giving away Diggs and Jones for Jacobs, Andrews, and Cooper? At this point, I think you can afford it because I do prefer Jacobs over Jones rest of the way. But then there's that significant drop-off that you're going to get from Diggs to any other wide receiver that you have. But at least you have Cooper, Godwin, and Olave that'll carry those 3 wide receiver positions. And then I don't know what you're playing at tight end, but I'm assuming that Mark Andrews, once healthy in week 11, will be a significant enough kind of differential to make up that ground. So I'm fine with it. Yeah, I don't mind that trade. Keegan Yap says, hey, Mark Andrews, trade Lenny for D'Onta Foreman and Likely full PPR. I have Mark Andrews. Do I trade Lenny for D'Onta Foreman and Isaiah Likely? It may be crazy, but I don't mind it. I'm not doing it because of the Isaiah Likely part, by the way. I'm literally just doing it for D'Onta Foreman. Thank you. All right, let's see here. Where are we at? What did I miss? All right, so after Keegan, we're moving on to Kid. That kid, Nick 2018, says, pick 2 PPR, Deon Jackson, Jacoby Myers, Pittman, or Duvernay. Yeah, the 2 that I'm picking there in a full PPR are Deon Jackson and Jacoby Myers. Thank you. Actually, you know what? That could be different. Let me check here just in case. I might have Pittman ahead of him. Just need to confirm. Michael Pittman, where's Deon Jackson here on this list? No, I have Deon Jackson ahead of him. Okay, just making sure. So yeah, Deon Jackson, Jacoby Myers there. Nick, thank you. DeAndre Warren, thank you very much. Says, got excess wide receivers running low on running back. I have Jonathan Taylor, Kenneth Walker, James Robinson left. Rest of the season, trade Kirk or Ayuk for Montgomery. How do you feel about that? Okay. I mean, look, as of right now, I don't mind it, mainly because J-Rob is pretty much not of value to us. So I'm perfectly fine trading Christian Kirk for Montgomery. I mean, do we want to trade Ayuk there? It could be Ayuk as well. I mean, I guess considering the desperation that you need running back, considering you have Jonathan Taylor right now and you don't have Deon Jackson, I'm fine trading either of those for a running back. And if it's Montgomery's caliber, I'm fine with that as well. So it's mainly off of desperation more than anything there, DeAndre. Thank you. YB says, pick 2. Isaiah Likely, TJ Hawkinson, Allen Robinson. If I'm picking 2 out of the bunch, I'm playing Allen Robinson and Isaiah Likely. Thank you very much, YB. Jay says, in a half PPR, Kenyon Drake, Alec Pierce, Darnell Mooney, Isaiah Likely. Out of the group, I'm fairly certain. I can confirm this, though. Let's go half PPR. Where is Likely compared to these guys? I think I might have Likely ranked higher than the bunch. Yeah, I do. Isaiah Likely is the suggestion there. Thank you. Moving on. Big Dog Pound 1 says, start 1 in the flex, full PPR. Mostert, Deon Jackson, Gabe Davis, Antonio Gibson. Let me check here. So Mostert in a half PPR is ahead of Deon Jackson, so I'm not really worried about the full PPR format. It's just a matter of whether or not Antonio Gibson or Gabe Davis is going to be the guy that is the primary suggestion. So let's see here. Where's Gibson in my full PPR rankings? Oops, there it is. Let's look him up. I have Antonio Gibson there. Okay, so right now in a full PPR, I have Gabe Davis as my number 35 ranked player in the flex, and I have Antonio Gibson as my number 37. So, and then obviously Mostert and Deon Jackson after. So right now it's Gabe Davis, then Antonio Gibson in that order. Big Dog Pound, thank you. Sander sends in a question, says, "Sup, my guy? I hope you're having an amazing week. Thank you very much. Did I F up? What did you F up? Let's see here. I traded Lamb for Pittman and Keenan Allen. Oh, in a half PPR. And I was starting Zay. Okay. I understand why you made the trade. But yeah, I think keeping Lamb was one of the main priorities that I wanted to make in majority of my leagues, specifically after the video I posted a couple weeks back in regards to rest of season rankings. I have Lamb pretty high ranked rest of the way. So in comparison to, of course, Pittman and Keenan Allen. So as of right now, let's hope. I mean, the deed is done. There's nothing to really, worry about. It's just a matter of let's hope that Keenan Allen gets healthy sooner rather than later. Otherwise, we're in a little bit of trouble. Appreciate it, Sander. Alexander Valdez says, pick 2 in a full PPR. Deon Jackson, Khalil Herbert, and Garrett Wilson. I'm fairly certain I'm going to play both running backs there. Let me confirm this. Let's see here. Garrett, where art thou? Garrett Wilson sits... Where the heck is he? Okay. Garrett Wilson's there. And the other 2 options you were mentioning was, okay, Khalil Herbert. Where the heck is Herbert on this list? What? How about Khalil? Is Khalil going to pop up on my... There you go. So I have Khalil Herbert. Where the heck is Garrett Wilson now? Yeah, I have him ahead of it. So yeah, I'm playing both running backs there. Thank you. So Deon Jackson, Khalil Herbert are the way to go. Shair sends in a question, says, what are your thoughts on Kadarius Toney this season? I mean, to be totally honest, I think it's any... he has a very similar upside value to any other Kansas City Chiefs wide receiver, and he also has just as much volatility, which means he can come away with 6 catches for 700 yards and a touchdown in a given week, while he could also come away with 1 catch for 7 yards and no points, right? So the issue is being able to find that happy medium or being able to find the receiver that Patrick Mahomes specifically likes to throw to. That's mainly why I have Juju where I have him ranked and Marcus Valdes-Scantling, because they have a consistency of success as of the course of the last month here with Mahomes getting the yardage, getting the targets that they need. Obviously, Kadarius Toney's a guy that I have on my rosters, but he's more of a wait and let's see what we get out of him, because he is a talent. It's just how much utilization he's going to get with that already crowded wide receiver room. Let's see here. Damien. Let's see here. Damien says, can you explain why Matt Collins at number 36? I'm leaning towards DeAndre Carter over him. Yeah, the reason why DeAndre Carter has moved outside of my top 36 in comparison to where he was in my mind, comparative to yesterday, is mainly if he's been ill the entire week. He has 6 catches for 700 yards. You understand what I mean? Like super upside. But going back to Damien's question, the reason why I have Matt Collins there is because with Darren Waller out and most likely, once again, Hunter Renfrow being a non-option within this offense, it's literally Josh Jacobs, Devontae Adams, and the number 3 option within this offense is by far and away Matt Collins. He's already produced enough this season already to convince me of that, averaging since week 2, I think about 10 points per game in a half PPR scoring format. The issue I have with Carter is that if he's going to, have dealt with this entire illness for the entire week, and now he's going to try to come play at a full capacity. We saw 2 players last week be sick the entire week, then show up and not play well on Sunday. One was Darrell Henderson. The other was Devontae Adams. My biggest concern is if he shows up and he plays 50% of the snaps, only gets 3 or 4 catches, and he doesn't score a touchdown, the yardage in comparison to what Hollins could put forward, it's just not enough for me to be convinced on the matter. Ron Burgundy says, can you explain Hawkinson at 13? Yeah. He's probably going to be only utilized down in the red zone, and I expect this team to get down in the red zone at a pretty consistent rate. He probably comes down at the end of the week with 1 catch for 12 yards and a touchdown, something like that. That's what I'm expecting. If he gets more utilization, then probably his ranking goes up pretty significantly, especially if he's already learned the entire offense by now, and he's going to be playing the entire day. Then that's a completely different thing. But I'm expecting not a full capacity considering how much time he's been with the team for. All right, moving on. We had a question from RR Sam. Says, hey, Andrew, I'm picking an RB2 in a full PPR setting. I see that you have Williams and Foreman roughly in the same area. Why Williams above? Is it the touchdown upside? Question mark. Let me check in my full PPR just to confirm, because in a half PPR, he's ahead of him. Full PPR, yeah, I still have it as the same. The main reason that I have Williams ahead of him is because purely when we compare the Cincinnati Bengals, I understand that Cincinnati Bengals got ran through on Monday Night Halloween against the Cleveland Browns, but the Carolina Panthers offense is not the Cleveland Browns offense. And we're not going to see that much success from Foreman to where he's completely torching that defense for 100 yards and a touchdown. Now, if he does, then by all means, we'd love to see it. But at this point, I'm thinking Jamaal versus that Green Bay defense, right? You know, it's obviously an in-division matchup. They're very familiar with that defense as a whole. And I'm expecting this Green Bay defense, who's obviously struggled against stopping the run, will not have Devondre Campbell today, to continue to struggle in that capacity. And when they get down to the red zone, we know it. I mean, there's a reason why Jamaal Williams has 8 touchdowns already this year, second amongst all running backs, only behind Nick Chubb. He'll be in the end zone. So if he at least gets in there once, he probably gets himself 12 points. Anything more than that, obviously continues to lift his upside. Let's see here. Tommy Hennessy. Okay, so we did that. Tommy Hennessy says, is Jamaal Williams a solid RB2 today? I think he's a solid RB1, but I guess it depends what you have on roster. Let's see here. Lel and Moss says 5 locks via Prize Picks today. All right, so last week was pretty rough when you asked me, man. You know, I really thought that Zach Wilson was going to sell the bag last week, but he did not. He, in fact, completely did the opposite for me. Zach Wilson completely torched me on a couple of my entries for Prize Picks last week. The main one that I was talking to people about earlier this week is anything that's related to Zach Ertz. So I don't care what you put him in on. 38.5 receiving yards, 10 fantasy points, or, 4 receptions. He even has a number now on Prize Picks, 6 targets, more or less. Either way, I'm 100% down with picking 38.5 receiving yards and going more on that number. The next one was Trevor Lawrence, fantasy points total, going 15. I think he's got, what is he number at? I think it's 15. Yeah, it's 15.5 now. I'm fine with that still. Go more on that number. What was the other number that I liked earlier this week that may not have changed? Where's Jalen Waddle? Jalen Waddle, 68.5 receiving yards. We'll take that one. And then we get into the riskier territory here. We get into the very risky territory. I think there's another safe number theoretically could be Amon-Ra St. Brown over on receiving yards. Not a technical lock. Where's my list? Let me go find it. I had a whole list for Friday's video. Where is it? Here we go. So the primary things that I went after were Gerald Everett more on receiving yards, Waddle more on receiving yards, Kupp more on receiving yards, assuming it's still at 65.5. Trevor Lawrence more on fantasy points. Ertz on all 3 of his statistics. I had Kirk Cousins more than 1.5 passing touchdowns. Mac Jones more than 0.5 interceptions. Aaron Jones more on rushing yards. Rhamondre more on rushing yards, but at the time it was at 64.5. I think that number's pretty much evolved at this point. So and then obviously Khalil Herbert 40.5 rushing yards. So if I had to pick 3, let's just give you 3. Ertz, Trevor Lawrence, and probably the last one, just take the Waddle on receiving yards. I'm not going to give you 5. How about that? Thank you. Moving on. We have Brandon sends in a question, says full PPR, starting Marshall or Isaiah Pacheco. Yeah, I'm playing Marshall in a full PPR without a doubt in my mind. Should I stay put should I stay put, or would you prefer DeAndre Carter, Hollins, Raymond over Marshall or Pacheco? I mean, at this point, if you have the ability to, so if you're starting Pacheco and Marshall, yes, I would feel much more comfortable replacing Pacheco with probably Hollins there, actually, quite frankly. Or even DeAndre Carter, whichever one. But if you're thinking, you'd rather just keep Pacheco for future weeks, and it's not like one of these must-win scenarios where you're able to drop a player just to play another, then at that point, you're fine. Let's see here. Landon Ramirez says, full PPR, I need a wide receiver, tight end, and a flex. We have Pittman, Davis, Boyd, Likely, Higbee. My suggestions are Davis, Boyd, and Likely there. Side note, you helped me get the most fantasy points scored so far. Still sitting at 500. That's crazy. That, you know how unlucky that is that you're at a 500 4-4 record, but you have the most fantasy points in your league. I mean, at least you know that you got a roster that could actually, make some noise in the playoffs. You just got to get there. You know what I mean? It's just been unlucky so far for you. RJ in the chat was saying, who you flexing, Andrew? Lenny or Olave? Let's see. In a half PPR, let's see. Where do I have Leonard in comparison? I have Leonard Fournette in a half PPR, 25 in comparison to Olave at 27. Now, if you're referring in a full PPR format, let's check here. In a full PPR, I have Olave over Fournette. So that's just the difference maker. Sean sends in a question, says, drop the 49ers defense. Got Kansas City. Drop main 49ers defense. Got KC for Rachaad White. Fournette owner. Okay, sounds good to me. You got Rachaad White out of that. That's fine by me. I have no problem with that at all, Sean. All right, let's see here. Brandon sends in a question, says, if so, drop Pacheco or Gus Edwards. I mean, if I'm dropping one, I'd probably rather drop Pacheco outright in comparison. Thank you. Paul Getz says, half PPR, Mac Jones or Taylor Heinicke. I have Taylor Heinicke ranked on screen again. For those of you who are joining us this morning, again, good morning, or maybe good afternoon or good night. I don't know where you guys are at. Either way, we appreciate you guys being here. If you guys haven't yet already kind of get an idea as to what I am doing on screen, we have rankings up to date on screen for a half PPR scoring format, 4-point per passing touchdown format. So in specific, I have Taylor Heinicke at number 16, which is why I'm referring to the rankings on screen, because someone just asked, Mac Jones or Taylor Heinicke. I got Mac Jones really low ranked this week. I do expect him to still score a touchdown, but I don't expect him to be better than Heinicke in that regard. Heinicke's got the extra rushing yards as well that he always gathers, and he's been playing pretty well as of late. Either way, hopefully the rankings on screen obviously can help you guys out in terms of setting your lineup. If you guys do appreciate that, be sure to click the like button down below. Certainly does help out a lot. Thank you. At about 6 minutes from now, I'll once again reiterate my top 12 kickers and defenses for those of you who missed that first time around. Okay, thank you. All right, Paul Getz, we took care of that. Thank you, Paul. Tim says, half PPR, should I play Christian Kirk or Khalil Herbert? I would play Christian Kirk this week. Thank you. All right, Pug97 says, Swift or Deon Jackson in a full PPR? I'm still playing Deon Jackson there. Thank you. Jordy Peasy says, half PPR, DeAndre Carter or Michael Carter? I play Michael Carter there. Thank you. Randon Martinez says, full PPR, would you play Nick Fulton over... Wait, what are we on about? Who are we talking about right now? I don't even know who these guys are. They're not even real people. Am I supposed to know who these people are? I think you may have spelt the names wrong. I think that legitimately is the reason. Oh, you're talking about defensive players. Bro, no. Listen. You got it twisted. You think I care about defensive players. No. My job is to go after defensive players. My job is to pick apart defensive players so that our offensive guys go off. Yeah, I just looked up Foy, and Foy is a linebacker for the Falcons. Bro, I have no clue. I do not play any IDP. I have not played in an IDP league since 2011. Like, it's been that long. Back then, guys like Nnamdi Asomugha were on my roster. Like, we're talking about a long time ago, okay? So, yeah, for right now, I have no clue. As for your follow-up question, why did you rank Daniel Carlson over Harrison Butker? Because Daniel Carlson's a beast. Again, outside of last week, the guy is a 10-plus point per week stud every single contest. The somehow, some way factor in which the Las Vegas Raiders starting offense didn't surpass the 50-yard line last week's game is unbelievable to me. When I watched that game, I was like, how bad of an offense can we possibly be? Either way, Daniel Carlson will get back to kicking himself probably 12 points of fantasy, significantly higher than anything that Harrison Butker is capable of, mainly because the offense for the Raiders is more likely to stutter when they get down the field in comparison to Mahomes, who obviously scores more touchdowns. Obviously leads the league in passing touchdowns with 20 this season. Also, should I trust Fields over Burrow? Again, they're back-to-back ranked. You can go either way. I think they both score similar fantasy points. I just prefer one over the other in a 4-point per passing touchdown league. If you told me, Andrew, this is a 6-point per passing touchdown league, I'd play Burrow, legitimately. But it's a 4-point. Therefore, the rushing yardage does give him a little bit of an advantage in my eyes. John Aguilar says, rest of the season, full PPR, Dobbs or Duvernay? It would be Duvernay. Thank you. Vlad Bolina says, KC Pacheco or Kieran Williams for the Rams? Kieran Williams is not playing today. He's not active from the injured reserve, so I'm playing Pacheco. Thank you. Romeo Connor says, where are we at, Romeo? Romeo Connor says, who do I keep rest of the season, Mooney or Garrett Wilson? I would probably feel more comfortable playing Garrett Wilson rest of the season. Thank you very much. Red sends in a question, says, thanks for all the help. Okay, that's enough. I appreciate that, though. I have Godwin, and I want a wide receiver 1. Which 2 should I trade? Pittman, Samuel, Thielen, Mike Williams, Lazard. I mean, look, at this point, if it's me, take Pittman, take Mike Williams, ship them. Those are the 2 biggest name guys on your roster. Unless someone would rather have Pittman Lazard or Mike Williams Lazard, take the 2 best out of those group that doesn't include Godwin and ship them off to get a wide receiver 1. If that doesn't work at that point, then I guess you can theoretically send away Godwin and Lazard and try to go make a play for someone like Devontae Adams. But again, it's going to depend on whether that team needs, the depth at wide receiver rather than just a primary stud there. Appreciate it. Let's see here. Someone in the chat was asking, Andrew, I'm in a 6-point passing touchdown league, -3 for interceptions, Rodgers or Fields? In a 6-point per passing touchdown format, if Rodgers is throwing 2 touchdowns, 12, 250, probably an extra. I think it's probably close, but I still play Fields over him. Yeah, I think it's close, but I probably still play Fields. Wolf Warrior 101 says Hawkinson or Likely in the chat. Again, I'm playing Likely. For those of you who are on mobile, I have rankings that are on screen, also represented in the chat, in the description. So if you want to go ahead and click on the description, if you're on mobile and you can't read the thing on chat, they are on screen. Hopefully that helps. Otherwise, again, guys, rankings are on screen for your usage. So if you guys have a question within a singular position, hopefully the rankings on screen, up to date. They don't include any of the players from Thursday night. Can help you guys set your lineups. So a lot of you guys are asking questions that could very easily be answered. Is Waddle a wide receiver 1? Yes, he is. By far and away, rest of the season, wide receiver 1, yeah. Thank you, appreciate it. After Red, we had Carrie. Carrie says, full PPR, McKinnon or Justice Hill? Let me check real quick. Full PPR, we have running back rankings. We have Jerick McKinnon 38, Justice Hill 41. So I'm playing Jerick McKinnon there. You know what's crazy? Jerick McKinnon in the last 2 games has played more snaps than Pacheco and Clyde Edwards individually. I'm curious if you had any other questions there, Carrie, because I saw there was multiple things sent in. I think that's just it. All right. Thank you, Carrie. Appreciate it. Moving on. We have JK. JK says, thanks for all the hard work that you put in. Yeah, thank you very much. I appreciate that, JK. Thank you. I appreciate that support. Tommy says, full PPR. I have DK on the bench, and I'm starting my wide. Okay, AJ Brown and Adams. Awesome. My RB2 is Jamaal Williams. Should I play Waddle for... Wait. Should I do Waddle for Pierce? Okay, you're talking about a trade overall. So I fill in the flex for DK Metcalf. Waddle for Pierce? And you're playing a full PPR? I'd rather have Waddle rest of the season than Dameon Pierce. Now, if you're just looking to try to fill it... Oh, okay, I know what you're saying. Yeah, I mean, I think you're kind of selling low on Waddle in that regard. I think you can get more value at running back, to be honest. But if that's really the best you can get, and you need to fill in that RB position, I suppose. Matthew Garcia in the chat saying, is Cordarrelle Patterson even going to have a good game today? Isn't that what we're all here for? I mean, that's the entire point, right? We're here to speculate on the potential outcomes that could take place, and then talk about what's the most likely of those respective outcomes. Obviously, the expectation is, considering the full week of practice, considering he's coming off the IR, considering he was a starter before he left, considering he's played really well this season already. It's a run-first offense against the worst defense in the league in terms of stopping the run, giving up 6.06 yards per carry on average. Is he going to have a good game today? My expectation is yes, and that's why I have him ranked where I do. You can disagree. Doesn't matter to me, but that's just my opinion, and that's why I'm sharing it. Thank you. All right, let's see here. Jonathan Coble says, no advice this week. Just want to spread the love. I appreciate that, Jonathan. You and JK as of late, certainly supporting. Thank you. Appreciate that. Best of luck. Keep going it, Andrew. Points on points on points. I appreciate that, Jonathan. Thank you. Let's see here. TYHBH says, We just went over the defensive kicker rankings. We're going to go over that right now. Should I flex Jamaal Williams or D'Onta Foreman? As of right now, I have Jamaal Williams ahead of him. They're back-to-back in my rankings, full or half PPR. So really, flip a coin. Whichever one you have the gut feeling on, you roll with. Because quite frankly, even though I have Jamaal Williams ahead of him, I wouldn't be surprised if D'Onta Foreman outscored him, straight up. But if it's my team right now, I'm probably playing Jamaal Williams. All right, so let's talk about kickers and defensive rankings once again, top to bottom, top 12 at each position. Just to kind of give you guys a little bit of a breakdown here. We talked about this about 30 minutes ago, so let's go ahead and reiterate some of these rankings. Okay, here we go. Top 12 defenses for Week 9. Number 1, we have the Buffalo Bills. Number 2, we have the New England Patriots. Number 3, Kansas City Chiefs. Number 4, Tampa Bay Bucks. Number 5, LA Rams. Number 6, Minnesota Vikings. Number 7, Baltimore Ravens. Number 8, Seattle Seahawks. Number 9, Miami Dolphins. Number 10, Indianapolis Colts. Number 11, Jacksonville Jaguars. Number 12, Green Bay Packers. Thank you. Moving on to kickers. Top 12. Number 1, Justin Tucker. Number 2, Jason Myers. Number 3, Daniel Carlson. Number 4, Evan McPherson. Number 5, Harrison Butker. Number 6, Nick Folk. Number 7, Younghoe Koo. Number 8, Tyler Bass. Number 9, Ryan Suckup. Number 10, Jason Sanders. Number 11, Will Lutz. And number 12, Michael Badgley. Thank you very much. Appreciate it. Hopefully that helps you guys out. Of course, trying to give you guys as much rankings as I possibly can without going broke. Appreciate that. You know, Alec makes a great point in the chat. He said there's a lot of people in the chat and there's not enough likes, and I agree. If you guys could do me a favor, click that like button. Be greatly appreciated. Alexis sends in a question. Alexis, let's see what you got here. Traded Amon-Ra St. Brown plus Olave for Justin Jefferson. My other wide receivers are Higgins, as in T. Higgins, and Mike Williams. I think there's a lot of risk involved in there. There's a lot of implied risk, mainly because Olave I already had Amon-Ra St. Brown rest of season top 12. I already have Olave at like number 13 rest of season. So if Justin Jefferson doesn't start scoring touchdowns soon, it could hurt. Now, of course, the deed is done. The trade has been made. Let's hope that Justin Jefferson starts dropping 20 points every single week. In a full PPR, right? He's already doing that. But I'm talking about we need touchdowns. We need to get to 25 points per week. And fingers crossed he gets there. Thank you. Trey Perez says, help full PPR. I have Andrews start Higbee from the bench or drop London and start Isaiah Likely. Thanks for all that you do. Appreciate it. If you're, man, I don't know if I want to drop London for that. Look, I would say that there's a significant enough difference between London and Likely. Sorry, not London and Likely. Likely and Higbee to where I want to make this move. But I don't know what the rest of your wide receiver position looks like. Like, can you afford to drop London? Like, if you drop him and someone picks him up immediately after, can you afford that? Because I don't know how many teams are in your league. It could be 14-team league, and you're really thin at the position, and you know you're going out of your way to make this pickup. So at this point, you know, it really just depends on where does London kind of stack up on your entire depth chart of wide receivers. Is he your fifth wide receiver? Is he your third? That's a big difference maker in my eyes. If he's your third, you probably don't drop him, and you hold and you let it ride with Higbee. If he's your fifth, then I'm more inclined to do so. Thanks for all that you do. I wish I could grow a beard like yours. The beard is a blessing and a curse, considering how much I mean, look, I don't put too much maintenance in it. You know, a couple trims here and there, you know, but otherwise, no beard oil, none of this garbage. I don't like spending money on it. I literally just let it grow just because it's a pain to have to clean it up all the time. You know what I mean? If I had to shave every other week, dude, that would be an absolute nightmare. So I just let it grow because, you know, the genetics just, they let it send. But I appreciate that, Trey. I appreciate it. Trayvon sends in a question. It says, Palmer, Boyd, Pittman, Kirk. Who would you not start? Out of this group, I'm not starting Michael Pittman Jr. I'm starting Palmer, Boyd, and Christian Kirk. Thank you very much, Trayvon. Hutch21103 says, Khalil Raymond with no Reynolds or Romeo Dobbs. I'm going Romeo Dobbs there. I think there's just a little bit more upside. Khalil Raymond right now in a half PPR, just for the point of reference. Khalil Raymond is currently my number 39 ranked wide receiver. So he's on the list. I just think that there's more potential upside for a touchdown and or anything extra when we're talking about Romeo Dobbs. Terry Rice says, how do you feel about Hilliard being a sneaky solid play? ? He looked good with the opportunity he was given, and I assume he'll get a good amount today. My issue with Hilliard is that he only got opportunity last week because it was a run first attack. They ran the ball quite literally 40 times last week against Houston. And they were able to do so against Houston because Houston doesn't know how to coach their team. If you know that Derrick Henry's the only one that's going to get the ball and Malik Willis starting quarterback, you'd assume that they'd stack 12 in the box. Yet they unfortunately didn't. And I said 12. I wasn't incorrect. Bring a guy off the sideline and send him. But either way, as of this moment, I don't really feel comfortable if Hilliard is going to get himself only 3 or 4 rushing attempts in a matchup in which they're probably going to be losing for majority of the game. Now, if you're going to play Hilliard in the idea of him getting receiving work, maybe there's a chance there, but I just don't feel comfortable enough rolling with that today. But again, maybe you have a sneaky feeling. Maybe he goes for a touchdown. If he does, good on you. But for right now, I'm not feeling it. OG says Palmer, Kirk, Foreman, Deon Jackson start 2 full PPR. In a full PPR scoring format, I'm going Foreman and I'm going Palmer. Thank you. Dazedful says, J.K. Dobbins, manager, would you drop Kenyon Drake or Gus Edwards for Romeo Doubs? If you're not starting Kenyon Drake this week, then you drop him right now. There's no need to have him on roster. Thank you. Jesse says, Carter or Drake, full PPR, who has the higher ceiling? In a full PPR, I do think it's going to be Carter, mainly because I'm expecting him to get a little bit more receiving upside today, mainly because of the matchup and the potential game script that is going to be in line. It's predominantly going to be a game in which, as much as the Jets want to run the ball, they're going to have to pass for a majority of the game in order to keep up with, of course, Josh Allen and the Buffalo Bills. So throwing the ball downfield probably not going to be a primary option for Zach Wilson, considering how difficult that's going to be against Buffalo's defense. So I'm leaning in the direction of going Carter there, just off that PPR work that he's going to get an influx of. Thank you. All right, after Jesse, we had Jaden Thornton says, choose 2. We have Patterson, Juju, Benjamin, and Connor. It's going to be Patterson and Juju there this week there, Jaden. Appreciate it. YB says, pick 2. Brian Robinson, Hayden Hurst, Robert Tonyan. I'm playing Brian Robinson, and I'm playing Robert Tonyan there. Thank you. Zachary, where art thou? Let's see here. Where did the question go? Zachary says, should I drop Higbee for likely? I have Andrews in a full PPR. Okay, so here's my only question, Zach. If, in fact, you make this drop, right, and you lose Higbee's value, the issue I have is that Andrews and likely are on a bye week next week. So if you end up dropping Higbee right now for likely, just for this 1 week, it is going to hurt you next week, because if you're not able to get Higbee back on roster for next week when the Ravens are on bye, the purpose, it just doesn't serve itself. So I'm 100% in the idea that, considering your situation, I'd keep Higbee. And yes, as much as I like, Isaiah likely this week, it's better for you in the long run to just keep Higbee on roster, because you're going to need him next week anyway. And you don't want to afford losing him in that regard. Now, if you think you can afford to lose him and you have a high enough waiver priority, or you want to spend the fab to go back after him, that's your discretion to be made. But as of right now, my suggestion is just to keep him. Jason says, traded Sutton, Lazard, and James Cook for Pittman in a dynasty. In a dynasty league, I'm fine with that. I mean, again, James Cook with Hines going there, they don't really feel too comfortable with him as of this moment. And if we're talking about Pittman, again, it's going to be a matter of who ends up being that starting quarterback for the Colts next year. I don't know who it's going to be. I'm hoping it's a rookie that's actually good. Christian Alvarez says, flex Alan Lazard or Gerald Everett. Okay, let's see here. I almost called him Gerald, like Gerald of Riviere. Let's see here. Gerald Everett. We have Gerald Everett there in my full PPR. And where's Lazard? I have Gerald Everett ahead of Lazard in a full PPR. Thank you. Appreciate it. After Christian's question, we had Luke Rosie says, non-PPR. I drop Dak. Drop Dak. He's my backup. Or Taysom Hill for Antonio Gibson. Who's your starting tight end? Is Taysom Hill your backup? Like, that's because you didn't technically specify that. If Taysom Hill is your back, I mean, look, here's the thing. I think it purely matters as to what you think is more of a tradable piece. Do you think you can have a higher likelihood of trading Dak Prescott or Taysom Hill in your league? Once you've determined that factor based on what other teams have and what you know your league to kind of do, I'd feel far more comfortable going with your discretion there, because if they're both backups, in my mind, I think it's easier to trade a quarterback, especially with the inconsistency of play at quarterback this year. Taysom Hill is great, but I don't know how much people are willing to go out and trade for him, especially after the streak of touchdowns hasn't really been there. So as of right now, either way, you make the call, drop it, and make that pickup for Gibson. That's for sure. Josie says full PPR, pick 2, Christian Watson, Marquise Hollywood Brown, Terrace Marshall. Yeah, I'm going to go ahead and play Marquise Hollywood. Sorry. Why did I say Marquise Hollywood Brown? What am I saying? It's Mecole Hardman. Again, dyslexia. Christian Watson, Mecole Hardman, Terrace Marshall. I'm playing Terrace Marshall and Mecole Hardman today. Thank you. Appreciate it. All right. Josie sends in another question. Okay, so that was Josie's question. Thank you. Gabriella says, could I start Khalif Raymond over Hollins in a PPR? Yes, you could. I think they have very similar value. Again, like I was mentioning before, let me compare this. In a full PPR, I have Khalif Raymond 39, and again, Mac Hollins 36. So they're not too far apart. Perfectly fine playing Khalif Raymond there. No problem at all. iShine101 says, sup, Drew? How you doing? Hope you're doing well. Do I start Isaiah Likely in the flex or Jacoby Myers? Yeah, it's 100% Jacoby Myers. Appreciate it. Thank you. King says full PPR. Flex, DeAndre Swift or Christian Kirk? In a full PPR, I'd play Christian Kirk there. Thank you. Dale Derrick says full PPR, starting Lamar, Henry, Jacobs, J-Jet, Waddle, Goddard, Walker. Flex, Foreman, Palmer, or Juju. In a full PPR, let me confirm this. Let's go check. I think it's probably going to be Foreman, but it could be wrong. Foreman. I have Foreman ahead of... Where's Palmer? Yeah, I have Foreman ahead of Palmer by a pretty significant margin in a full PPR. So that's where I go with Derek. Play Palmer in your flex. Play Foreman in your flex. PK sends in a question with the Pokeball. Says, I have Jefferson, Adams, and Waddle. Should I flex Gabriel Davis over any of them? No, I wouldn't. Also, played Goddard and Sanders, and I'm sitting on plus 40. Yeah, I don't think you need to play Gabriel Davis anyway, regardless of whether you're up, 25-40 or you were down 25-40. It doesn't matter. I'm still playing those 3 guys, Jefferson, Adams, and Waddle. Thank you, PK. Alistar says, trade away Hill for Amon-Ra St. Brown and Swift, full PPR. It depends how much you are in need of a running back. It depends if you have Jamaal Williams. Depends on a lot of factors. Trading away Hill is tough to do, but if you're like super desperate for a running back, I feel like Swift may not be the guy that I want to go after in particular. Especially when you're trading for two Detroit Lions, it is a tough deal to make. That's my only hesitation there, Alistair. Pro922 says Raymond, DeAndre Carter, Hardman. Pick 2. I'm playing Hardman and I'm playing Raymond. Let's see here. Moving on. We have KJ says, should I bother playing or stacking Cousins and Jefferson or just play Fields and Jefferson? Yeah, I'm playing Fields and Jefferson there. I think Cousins is very capable of getting himself 2 passing touchdowns and 200 plus yards. But I think that Fields certainly outweighs him in a 4 point per passing touchdown format. Appreciate it. All right. So again, for those of you who are just joining us this morning, welcome. Hope you guys are doing well. Again, we have rankings on screen for a half PPR scoring format for all the primary positions. Of course, 4 point per passing touchdown format for the quarterback position. If in fact you are on mobile and you're not at home and you're trying to get your lineup set, of course, we have rankings typed out in the description. So go ahead and expand the description, scroll down there, and there is rankings down there for those of you who are in need. So in order to kind of check that out, if you can't read the rankings that are on screen, perhaps they're too small. I don't know. I've had people complain about that in the past. Either way, while you're down in the description, for those of you who want to continue to play fantasy football, of course, be sure to check out Prize Picks. There's a link down there. When you sign up and use promo code Andrew today, you'll be given a first-time deposit match up to $100. So check that out if you're interested. Again, Zach Ertz is the play of the day for me. And also, while you're down there, click that like button. Thank you very much. Appreciate it. All right. In about 15 minutes from now, I'll go ahead and reiterate my top 12 kickers and defenses. We've mentioned that on multiple occasions already on today's episode. We mentioned it at 9:02 a.m., so about 14 minutes ago. So if you're in need of listening to that, you can go back 14 minutes in the stream and then catch up to us. Either way, let's see here. Sticky sends in a question. Says, Swift and Allgeier with Adams. Wait, what does it say? Swift and Allgeier with Devontae Adams, Gabriel Davis, and Juju Smith in the flex. I have Khalil Herbert on my bench full PPR. Would you mix in Matt? Okay, so at this point, the only difference maker that I'm kind of thinking of, what's the scoring format again? Let me check. Wasn't mentioned. Okay. So, no, it is a full PPR. Okay, so let me check here. Full PPR. Where do I have Allgeier in comparison? Yeah, I have Allgeier below him in a full PPR. So, Sticky, I'm playing Swift and I'm playing Khalil Herbert, and then I'd play still those 3 wide receivers, Adams, Gabe Davis, and Juju, and I'd sit Allgeier in a full PPR. Thank you. Little Boy Blue 619. So you're from the San Diego area, huh? 619. Lazard or Swift this week? I have Jamaal and Deon Jackson. All right, in a half PPR, where do we have Lazard? I probably am assuming Lazard is there. Yeah, I have Lazard at number 44 and Swift at 47.5 PPR. So I'm playing Lazard there. Thank you. Anthony C says, hey, Andrew, Swift, Hines, or Deon Jackson, full PPR in the flex. I'd play Deon Jackson this week. Again, it's mainly off of the point that, of course, Deon Jackson is probably going to play a lot more and get a lot more touches than Swift. And even though Swift is hyper efficient in the touches he is given, it's not at a high enough capacity based on their limited usage of him. And the fact that they know that he's not at a full healthy capacity, that they're not going to allow him to get over 10 touches, which is obviously unfortunate, but makes his value that much more diminished. All right, moving on. Jake St. Paul, thank you very much, says, flex half PPR, Cordarrelle or Curtis Samuel. I play Cordarrelle Patterson there. Thank you. Rob Castle says, I need 3 in a standard. Christian Kirk, Gabe Davis, Palmer, Boyd. Christian Kirk, Davis. Okay, in a standard scoring format, I play, standard scoring format, flat, straight up. Davis, Palmer, Boyd. Thank you. Tony says, again, the great name, the great Tony. Welcome back, Tony. Full PPR. Antonio Gibson, Pittman, Rondale Moore. Pick 2. If I'm picking 2, it's Pittman and Antonio Gibson. Thank you very much, Tony. Tom Matthews says, start Deon Jackson or wait and see if Connor doesn't play and then start Eno. I probably still play Deon Jackson because my biggest... Or wait, man. Yeah, look, you have options to play with, right? So you could wait. If Connor doesn't go, you play Eno. And if worst case scenario, you play Drake on Monday night. I don't like any of those options straight up over Deon Jackson. Like if I knew Eno was the solo back by himself, I still wouldn't play him over Deon Jackson today. So hopefully that kind of gives you an indication why I'm going with Deon there. I mean, or at least why I'm suggesting you don't wait. Problem Blessed, thank you very much. Says full PPR, wide receiver flex, DK, St. Brown, Swift, Palmer, Cordarrelle, and Deon Jackson. So I'm for sure playing St. Brown at your wide receiver position. As for your flex in a full PPR, let's go check this out. Where do I have Metcalf in comparison to these other lads? So I have Metcalf there. Who's the other options you mentioned? Swift, Palmer, Cordarrelle, Deon Jackson. No. Yeah. So at this point, it's gonna be both Metcalf and Amon-Ra. Thank you. Jaden Thornton says choose 2. Mostert, Foreman, Dobbs. Yeah, Mostert and Foreman 1,000% there for me, Jaden. Thank you. Joshua Wilkins says half PPR flex Deon Jackson or DJ Moore. Yeah, DJ Moore is my suggestion there. Thank you, appreciate it. Let's see here. Hey Andrew, good luck today. Start 3 half PPR Pacheco, Akers, Henderson. Rashad White, I have McKenzie and Terrace Marshall. Isaiah McKenzie and Terrace Marshall. Okay, so Slim, if we're picking 3 out of this group, my suggestion is Terrace Marshall, Henderson, and Pacheco. Thank you. Tyler Boyd or DeAndre Swift, full PPR. Joey, I'm going to go with Tyler Boyd there. DeAndre Swift or Kenneth Walker. Name here, it's Kenneth Walker. Again, reminder to you guys, for those of you who have questions within a singular position, the rankings are on screen. So, for example, for that question, he was asking Kenneth Walker, who I have as my number 9 running back going into the week, in comparison to DeAndre Swift, who I have as my number 19 running back on the week. So, hopefully the rankings on screen answer that. Gibson ranked that high, question mark, flex him over Lazard. What's the scoring format? Actually, let me check. In a full PPR, do I have him over? I'm assuming I have him over Lazard. Let me confirm. Lazard. So I have Lazard as my number 43. Where do I have Gibby? Yeah, where's Gibby? Am I blind? Yeah, I have Gibby at 37. I have Lazard at 43 in a full PPR. So that means in a half PPR, I probably have him just as high. Maybe not, because technically in a half PPR, he's got more touchdown potential. Let me check. Yeah, it's still similar separation. I still have Antonio Gibson over him in both capacities. We do not have the capacity. Let's see here. We have Good 7 says, I'm starting Logan Thomas. Kittle's on bye this week, but I think likely he's available. Should I pick him up? Yeah, I'd pick him up and play him over Logan Thomas. Thank you. Let's see here. What do we got? Nav in the chat was saying defense and kickers. Yes, 9 minutes, and we'll talk about that. Appreciate it. Thank you. So as for Tomas, sends in a question. Tomas says, I need to drop 1. Gabe Davis, Palmer, or Brian Robinson. If I'm dropping 1 for a tight end, I think it depends. Okay, if we're talking about a straight vacuum, right? And I don't know what you have on your rest of your team, I'd probably say drop Palmer because, again, I don't know what you have on the rest of your team. But if you have stacked running backs, let's say you have 3 or 4 studs better than Brian Robinson, I just drop him at that point. But yeah, that's the primary thought process I have regarding that. All right, moving on. We have Legion asking a question saying, I'm trying to get Diggs. Oh, I see. Okay. The guy I'm trying to get him from needs a running back. But should I be trying to trade straight up with Adams for Diggs? There's no way you'll be able to get Diggs for Adams. So if he needs a running back, you're going to have to give him Adams and a running back. You know what I mean? Or just a straight up running back in exchange, Legion. Troy says, I'm making the sacrifice and sitting Brady so he can go off. Good luck, everyone. Troy, you're a legend. How does it go? You're a gentleman and a scholar, and there's not many of us left. Thank you. I appreciate your sacrifice. All right, let's see here. All right, moving on. Carlos Ruiz says, do I drop Pickens, Campbell, or Pacheco for OBJ? I'd feel comfortable dropping Paris Campbell there. Carlos, thank you very much. Appreciate it. Kepler says, I have Tua, Higgins, Duvernay, Foreman, Allgeier, Kelsey, Lazard. And then we have Justin Herbert, Khalil Herbert, Nick Chubb, Pollard, Ayuk on my bench. Okay, so we have bye week, and then 2 guys on the bench. Okay, very well. Who should I start today? Also trade Higgins for Olave and Swift. Yes, I would trade Higgins for Olave and Swift right now. Done deal in my pocket. But as to who I'm starting today, Tua over Herbert, yes. Higgins and Duvernay are perfectly good to go because you have no other wide receiver options. So the question is, are we playing Lazard or Herbert in the flex? I'm going to play Lazard there, and you're good to go. Your roster looks... Oh, actually, no. The only difference, actually, Kepler, is I'm playing Herbert over Allgeier. That's quite literally the only difference. So, yeah, that's the only thing that I'm kind of changing up there. Appreciate it. All right, let's see here. Heavy CMC says A.J. Dillon, Deon Jackson, and James Conner as my running backs. Which 2 would you run with this week? I mean, again, let me check here. NFL Week 9. I'm actually curious. What does the afternoon slate looks like? That's probably why Arizona's there. Okay, so here's the thing. My expectation is that James Conner plays. So I want to play him and Deon Jackson over A.J. Dillon. But again, you'll have to have a potential pivot option later on today if in fact something comes up where James Conner somehow is a surprise inactive, which I doubt. But again, just be wary of that. Just be mentally present in case something like that is to occur. But as of right now, your follow-up question was, which 2 would you run? Or run all 3 and not use my other flex, which is Duvernay at this moment? No. You know what? No. I would want to play Deon Jackson, James Conner, and Devin Duvernay there. Thank you. Appreciate it, Heavy CMC. Montana Fisher says PPR. Moreau or Knox. Okay. If it's... Oh, man. Moreau is... It's enticing to play him in a full PPR. I just don't know if I have him ahead of him in a full PPR. No, I don't. It is enticing because the last time Moreau came out, he had 6 catches for 29 yards. Like, he's going to get himself a good amount of receptions. I just don't know if it's going to be enough to keep up with Knox and his overall potential touchdown upside. So I'm just going to play Knox there. I don't mind the Foster Moreau play because, again, the tight end position is such a volatile back and forth that it could be anything up in the air in that regard. But yeah, I'm going to go with Knox there. As for your follow-up question, Swift, Jamaal Williams, or Rachaad White, pick 2. I'd play Swift and Jamaal. Thank you. Let's see here. Jill says, Swift, Pittman, or Taysom Hill, full PPR. In a full PPR, I think it's probably safest to just roll with Pittman there. Thank you. Troy, I'll get to your question right now. Let's see what you have here, Troy. Let's see here. Oh, there was nothing. That was just it. All right. Appreciate it, Troy. Thank you. Moving on. We have... Oh, okay. That being said, Rodgers will start. Okay. Wait, with that being said, Rodgers starters Look out? What do you mean? Oh no. I understand what you mean now. Okay. So you're trying to okay, I get it. The reverse psychology. If it happens, it happens though. All right. So in about 3 minutes, I'll re-mention my top 12 kicker and defensive rankings. Do appreciate you guys being obviously present and patient with that. Hits Money says in the chat, Otten, Moreau, or Jawan Johnson. I have Moreau ahead of both of those guys. Thank you. Appreciate that, Matt. Thank you. Yeah, that'd be awesome. Why Metcalf over Palmer? After he's put up five. I know. Listen, Kevin, I went back and forth with myself on this exact question about. I would legitimately say for about 40 minutes yesterday. I kept sitting there wondering what I was going to do with Metcalf and versus Palmer. And at the end of the day, I was like, maybe I'm blinded by the fact that he hasn't played well against Arizona, because I do highly predicate a lot of the rankings on a matchup basis, right? The cornerback that they faced against, the defense they faced against, the coverages, how well a defense plays against 11 personnel in comparison to 22 personnel, stuff like that, right? 22, two fullbacks, two backs, two tight ends. That's that Baltimore Ravens stuff. But, I look at all those things, and with that all taken into account, I'll still like, you know what? Metcalf is just, he's that guy. I just don't want to bet against him. I'm worried about benching a stud and having him go off my bench, and that was my biggest concern about it. But again, playing Palmer is right next to him, so don't be surprised if, similar numbers across the board. Jason sends in a question, says, was the earlier trade fair? Commish veto question mark? Let me see what you're referring to, Jason. Jason says, I traded Sutton, Lazard, and was it fair? I don't see why it wasn't fair. I think that's perfectly fair. Yeah, I think that's perfectly fair. I don't have a problem with that in any sort of capacity. Appreciate that. Jason Cameron says, full PPR, flex Christian Kirk or Deon Jackson. In a full PPR, I think we may have Christian Kirk edging him out. Let's see here. Christian Kirk in a full PPR. Where art thou, Christian Kirk? Dude. Wait. Okay, dude. What is going on here? There it is. Christian Kirk. Where is Deon Jackson in comparison to him? I have Deon Jackson ranked lower, so I'd play Christian Kirk there. Thank you. All right, so it is almost 9:30, so I'll just go ahead and beat us to it. Let's talk about our top 12 kickers and defenses going into the week. Again, before we do so, reminder, there are rankings on screen. So for someone who just asked Mike Gesicki or Foster Moreau, I'm playing Mike Gesicki there as to the rankings on screen. Someone just asked, Alan was asking DJ Moore or Alan Lazard. I have DJ Moore ranked higher on screen. Therefore, I would go with that. Someone was asking, Gabe Davis or Deon Jackson. Well, that's not on screen, but hey, I'll answer it. In a full PPR scoring format, let's play Gabe Davis there. Anyway, hopefully the rankings on screen can answer some of the more simpler questions that are not flex related, because again, flex related requires a lot of rankings. But either way, do appreciate you guys coming out this morning. I do appreciate that we're already at 700 likes. That's a ridiculous number. Thank you guys for helping us get there and continuing to raise those numbers and going in the right direction. Appreciate that. Okay, so let's talk about this, shall we? Let's talk about the potential of our top 12 kickers and defenses going into week 9. Let's go from the top here. Top 12 defenses. Beginning with our number 1, we have the Buffalo Bills. Number 2, New England Patriots. Number 3, Kansas City Chiefs. Number 4, Tampa Bay Bucks. Number 5, LA Rams. Number 6, Minnesota Vikings. Number 7, Baltimore Ravens. Number 8, Seattle Seahawks. Number 9, Miami Dolphins. Number 10, Indianapolis Colts. Number 11, Jacksonville Jaguars. And number 12, Green Bay Packers. Those are my top 12 defenses on the week. If you were wondering why the Kansas City Chiefs are so high up there, it's because regardless of whether it is Malik Willis, who is potentially trending to play today, or Ryan Tannehill, I expect this team to stop the run at a pretty decent capacity and, of course, prevent any of the quarterback play from really doing much, which will either mean picks or sacks. And either way, I'm expecting a lot of points from that defense. Moving on, let's talk about 12 kickers and top 12. It's almost that that's a different accent. That's completely different. Moving on to our kickers. Number 1, we have Justin Tucker, Jason Myers, Daniel Carlson, number 3. Number 4, we have Evan McPherson. Number 5, Harrison Butker. Number 6, Nick Folk. Number 7, Younghoe Koo. Number 8, Tyler Bass. Number 9, Ryan Suckup. Number 10, Jason Sanders. Number 11, Will Lutz. And number 12, Michael Badgley. Thank you very much. Appreciate that, guys. Alrighty. Time's at 9:30. We got about 30 minutes here. We're in a good spot. Alrighty. Chase Chappell sends in a question. Says, I'm in an 8-man league. All right, let's see here. Chase, what do we got here? PPR, DJ Moore or Foreman? I'd rather play DJ Moore. Thank you. Follow-up question. Adams and... Wait, I'm sorry. This is a trade question. DJ Moore and Foreman for Adams and Ertz. My running backs are Ekeler, Kamara, and Edwards. My wide receivers are Higgins, Pittman, Sutton. I also have Andrews. I'll take the trade. I'm fine with it. In an 8-man league, considering what you already have on roster, I'm fine with that trade. Thank you. W is Life says PPR, start 2. Gabriel Davis, Joshua Palmer, and or Chris Godwin. In a full PPR scoring format, I'm playing Chris Godwin and Josh Palmer there. W is Life. Thank you. Alan sends in a question, says full PPR. Flex, Isaiah Likely, Pittman, or Deon Jackson. Let's go check, shall we? Let's see here. Control F. Likely. I spelled it wrong. I was about to say, it's like, where's that? All right, in a full PPR, I have Deon Jackson 44, Isaiah Likely 45, and Michael Pittman 47. They are all legitimately next to each other. Highest ranked is Deon Jackson. Play your gut. Moving on. We have CB says standard. Start 2, Foreman, DJ Moore, and Deon Jackson. If I'm starting 2, I'm probably still starting Foreman and DJ Moore there. Thank you. iShine101, thank you very much. I appreciate the generous donation. Says Superflex, I took your advice and got Heinicke and dropped Danny Dimes from the bye week. All right, good to go. Last second, I was going to drop Watson and grab either PJ Walker or Malik Willis for rushing upside. Malik Willis does not have any upside ever, guys. I told y'all last week, don't play Malik Willis. He's not a good enough quarterback to be in the NFL at a starting capacity. Right now, in his rookie year, he needs to sit back and learn. Once he eventually gets those mechanics in the right position, and the Tennessee Titans have a better offensive line in terms of pass blocking and better receivers, then and only then Malik Willis can really show everyone what his potential is. But right now, the way that this offense functions, it is not to accentuate the quarterback play. It's to have a game manager there that knows how to hand off the ball. That being said, as for rushing upside for PJ Walker, he has none. He has not ran the ball at all this year as a starting quarterback. He is a pocket passer outright. So Heinicke's got actually more rushing upside in comparison to those two. My other quarterback is Dak. Also has a bye week. What you think? Yeah, at this point, I'm still sticking with Heinicke over PJ Walker and Malik Willis by a pretty long margin. There. Thank you. Johannes sends in a question, says, PPR, Flex 2, Lockett, Boyd, Jamaal Williams, Palmer. Yeah, it's Lockett and Jamaal Williams for me. Thank you very much. Appreciate that. J-Dog says, Tua or Fields full PPR, 4-point per passing touchdown league. I would play Fields there. Thank you. Cade Elliott says, 2-part question. Hope that's okay. That's perfectly fine. You can ask a 9-part question. Doesn't make a difference to me as long as you're supporting the channel. I appreciate that. Should I drop Deontay or Hunt or Sutton for Patterson this week? Yeah, I feel pretty comfortable with one of those guys. And then your follow-up question was, or should I flex Cordarrelle Patterson over Lockett? All right. So so you're playing in a full PPR. So first and foremost, no, I would not play him over Lockett. But would I pick him up over the available options? Yes, I would rather have Patterson over Sutton or Deontay. I'm keeping Hunt because, again, running back depth is difficult to come by in this league or, in general fantasy leagues. So at this point, if I'm dropping Deontay or Sutton in a full PPR, I'm most likely dropping. Ooh, do I want to drop off on Sutton already? They just traded Claypool. Yeah, I would drop Sutton there for Patterson. Thank you. All right, Valentine says, where did it go? Where did the question go? Come on. There you go. Valentine says, full PPR, Michael Carter or Tyler Allgeier. In a full PPR scoring format, I'm fairly certain I'm still playing Tyler Allgeier, but I can confirm this. Let's go check full PPR. Carter sits there and Allgeier sits there. Yeah, I'm still playing Tyler Allgeier ahead of him. I have them ranked 24 23 and 24. So they're next to each other, but it's not at a point to where, okay, what is that? That's a spam. Okay. Just a reminder, guys, do not post or do not click on any links that are posted in the chat. I just had to ban like a bot account. If you ever see a link in the comment section, or if you ever see a link in a chat, like a live chat, never click on it. Just a fair warning. There's a lot of scams on YouTube nowadays. That like there's even scams, just for those of you who are here, just so you're aware, there's even scams where they'll take my user picture, like my actual like my YouTube picture, and they'll put it as theirs, and they'll try to scam people. So you guys just be careful. Just heads up. I know you guys aren't that dumb, but you know, just in case you guys get duped, just be careful with that. Appreciate it. So Tyler Allgeier ahead of Michael Carter. Again, they're back-to-back in my rankings, 23-24, but right now I'm perfectly fine rolling with Allgeier there. Ray says first, okay, here we go. First in the league in a full PPR. My wide receiver 3 is London or Zay Jones this week. Okay, so I'm going to play London there. As for your second league, full PPR, flex, Dobbs, Deon Jackson, or Likely. As of right now, I have Deon Jackson one spot ahead of Likely in a full PPR. And then also is veto/vote trade setting stupid? In my opinion, in every league that I am the commissioner, I make the decision as to whether a trade goes through. And I let every trade go through. Unless I know that there is some sort of collusionary factor to the trade, I let every trade go through. Because I have seen it in seasons past where someone trades a really good player for a really bad player, or an average player, let's put it this way. Really good player for an average player. The next week, that really good player tore their ACL. And because someone in that league didn't want to, everyone vetoed it, that guy that had the really good player that wanted to get out of it, unlucky, boom, cooked. Moving on, Tark says, full PPR, Herbert or Dobbs this week in the flex? In a full PPR, let's check here. Khalil Herbert is sitting there. Where's Romeo Dobbs? That's Khalil Shakir. No, I need Khalil Herbert. Where the heck's Khalil Herbert? Khalil Herbert is there. Romeo Dobbs is below him. I'm playing Khalil Herbert there. Thank you. Follow up to your question was, I have Andrews and Likely. Trade Reynolds for Hawkinson. Wait, trade Reynolds for Hawkinson to fill for the Ravens bye week next week, or stash Reynolds? Trade. We're talking about Josh Reynolds. Trade him. Get rid of him. Bye-bye. Good night. Pitch says, start Aaron Jones or T. Higgins in a PPR league. Great question. I'm pretty much sure that I'm playing Aaron Jones, but I can confirm this for you. Full PPR flex, Aaron Jones 11, T. Higgins 20. So I'm playing Aaron Jones there. Thank you. J-Bo says, PPR, Brady or Fields? I'd rather play Fields. Jamaal Williams or Josh Palmer? Jamaal Williams. Thank you. Zadrian says, Cordarrelle Patterson or Josh Palmer half PPR. Let's check real quick. We have Josh Palmer. Cordarrelle Patterson at 32, Josh Palmer 35. I play Patterson there. Moving on. Juan Angel, thank you very much. Says, who do I start? Injured Swift or Mostert? I play Mostert this week there. Yeah. I think we talked about this a little bit yesterday, so hold on. Maybe we didn't, but I remember we talked about something. But yeah, Mostert's to play there. Foolish TV says, DK Metcalf or Devin Duvernay? I'd rather play DK Metcalf. Ashley says, full PPR. Kyle Pitts or Curtis Samuel? I play Kyle Pitts there. Thank you. Shair says, Andrew, wait, what? People, posing at, no, look, here's the thing, Shair. It's not even a matter of people posing as me to do scams. Every single YouTube channel right now has spam bot accounts in their descriptions or in their comments, excuse me. Every single one. You can go and scroll on every single comment section. It's just a matter of my auto moderation. I have an auto moderation list. If you put any keywords in there or if you type any links, auto moderates you and it deletes your comment, like just outright, boom. Because again, I can't sit in the comment section all day waiting for those people. I auto moderate them out immediately. But sometimes they slip through the cracks. They got their little devious ways of going about it. Appreciate it. After Sheer, we had Slater AC. AC Slater, huh? Slater AC says, half PPR, start 3. Swift, Patterson, Herbert, Dobbs, Dillon. Thank you for all that you do. Appreciate that. So first and foremost, we're playing Patterson. Second of all, then we're going to go with Swift. And then third, to close us out, we're playing Herbert. Thank you very much, Slater. Chris sends in a question, says flex, full PPR. Garrett Wilson, Romeo Dobbs, AJ Dillon. I'm going to play Romeo Dobbs there in the flex, full PPR. Thank you. Bodie. How's it going, Bodie? Long time no see. Hope you're doing well. Says trade DK Metcalf and Fournette for Chubb, half PPR. My wide receivers are Higgins and Diggs. DK was my flex. Man, I feel like you're giving man. Okay, that is a crazy dono, my man. I shine. No shot, right? We should not be doing that. No more. Please, no more. No more. Please. I beg of you, no more. That's an absolutely ridiculous number, my man. That's way too much. Legitimately, it is. Can I refund it? Like, can I click on this thing? Like, actually, what? You know, YouTube's so greedy, it won't even let me refund it, man. That's actually legitimately too much. But I mean, we'll get to that in a second. Holy, Jiminy Christmas, man. Oh, man. If I wasn't so keen on getting rid of Fournette, I would tell you no, but I'm so ready to get Fournette off my rosters that I'm actually considering it there, Bodie, and I wouldn't mind it. Eduardo Mendez says, need 2 PPR, Higgins, Kirk, Palmer, looking for the floor of production. If you're looking for straight floor, I think it's purely going to be there with Higgins and Palmer, legitimately. I think Christian Kirk's inconsistency of targets has been enough to where it concerns me as of late. Let's see here. TY says, Dylan, D-Bird, Khalif Raymond, Rashad White, MVS, Terrace Marshall. Okay, let's see here, TY. So pick one for the flex, full PPR. If we're picking just one of these guys, Dylan Bird, I play Terrace Marshall there in a full PPR there, TY. Thank you. Joshua Stoles says, who do I sit? I have Etienne, Walker, Stevenson, Jefferson, Diggs, and Nuke Hopkins. Dude, Joshua, why you got to do this to me, man? Why you got to... Joshua, can you do me a favor and tell me what your scoring format is in the chat so I can give you a full indication? Otherwise, we're going to move on to iShine real quick. iShine says, I'm an 8-man super flex. Man, that's too much money, my man. I'm not worth it, man. It's too much. Keep your money, please. 8-team league full PPR. Okay, here we go. 8-man super flex. We have to start 2 quarterbacks. Mine, I have bye weeks, okay? That's why I want to wait until all 3, okay, to add a second quarterback. I got Deshaun Watson and Dak Prescott. We have Dalton, Mac Jones, and Zach Wilson on the wire, and PJ Walker, Willis. I need one of these quarterback. Okay, cool. So if we're looking for one of these specific quarterbacks to play this week, this is how my rankings go, okay? So outside of Taylor Heinicke, who's number 16 on screen, the rest of the rankings at quarterback go number 17, Jared Goff, number 18, Derek Carr, number 19, Andy Dalton, number 20, PJ Walker, number 21, Mac Jones, number 22, Ryan Tannehill / Malik Willis, number 23, Sam Ehlinger, number 24, Zach Wilson. So in your specific case, iShine, if you're looking for the pickup, it's Dalton in my eyes. It'd be Dalton or PJ Walker, but Dalton is probably the guy that I'd go with. So yeah, that's pretty much what I'm looking at. 8-man super flex. We have 2 quarterbacks on. Yeah, that's the play. Grave says, full PPR, Swift or Curtis Samuel? Let's check this. Swift or Curtis Samuel? Swift. Where art thou, Swifty? Okay, now where's Curtis? I have Swift ahead of Curtis Samuel. Thank you very much there, Grave. Pineapple logo, huh? Logan, what's up, man? How's it going? Start Burrow or Tua? I have Burrow ahead of Tua. We're good to go there. Thank you. Miguel Diaz says Lazard or Deon Jackson in half PPR. I would go with Deon Jackson there, Miguel. Thank you. Max Payne says standard Justice Hill or Hilliard. I'm hurting. At this point, let me look at my half PPR running back rankings because I think I'm playing. We have Dontrell Hilliard at 42 and Justice Hill at 41. Like, I'm not even joking. They're literally back to back. I'd go with Justice Hill there. Alrighty. Where art thou at? Thank you, Aisha. I appreciate it. I mean, that's a crazy number, man. No more. Seriously, no more. Miguel, thank you. We did that. Max Payne, we took care of that. All right. So 946. Let's look at the chat. Foreman or Pittman? I play Foreman there. Deon Jackson or Metcalf? Metcalf. Tunyon or Curtis Samuel? Probably go Tunyon there. Pitts or Garrett Wilson? Give me Pitts. Allgeier or Terrace Marshall? In a half PPR, I'd probably play Allgeier. In a full PPR, I'd play Terrace Marshall. 1911, Nate says, run both Detroit running backs. Lockett is my flex with Drake, Herbert, and Allgeier on the bench. Yes, I would. In a standard format, I'm perfectly fine running both of those Detroit running backs. Thank you. Bobby Trees or Tony in a half PPR. Are we talking about Kadarius Toney? Let me check my rankings. In a half PPR wide receiver, I have Robert Woods as my number 42 wide receiver. I have Kadarius Toney as my number 50. So I'm going Robert Woods there. Again, Robert Woods hasn't looked great in the last couple of weeks, so I wouldn't blame you to go out, elsewhere there. But at this point, just don't know what to expect from Kadarius Toney in terms of snaps and targets. Zach Fine says, do I wait for Connor and hope that he plays, or should I just go ahead and play Herbert? I think you should just go ahead and play Herbert, not even take the risk. If you don't have anybody that's even remotely close to Herbert's value and we end up getting a super unfortunate situation, I think it's just safe just to play the guy that you have on roster. Juan Angel says, should I take my money? You're a gentleman and a scholar, sir. Yeah, thank you very much. Appreciate that. Thanks for the tips. Burrow or Herbert? Yeah, we're going to play Joe Burrow today. Joey B. Thank you very much, Juan. Ruben says, got 5 wide receivers, pick 4. Terry McLaurin, Amon-Ra St. Brown, Christian Kirk, Tyler Lockett, DJ Moore. Yeah, you don't just have 5 wide receivers. You got 5 stud effing wide receivers. Amon-Ra number 1, DJ Moore number 2, Tyler Lockett number 3, Terry McLaurin number 4. I'm benching Christian Kirk. Thank you. Let's see here. Boyd or Deon in a half PPR, says TK. Let's see here. TK, what do we have here? Boyd or Deon? Where art thou, Boyd? I have Boyd at 40, Deon at 38. Thank you. Where are we at? Okay. Should I keep Godwin and Fournette? Should I keep? What do you mean? What are we going to do with them, Blake? Are we going to trade them? Is that what you're referring to? I mean, I wouldn't mind trading Fournette. But I'm all in on keeping Godwin the rest of the way. Ertz or Jamaal Williams full PPR? Ooh, good question. I'm probably still playing Jamaal Williams, even though I do expect Ertz to come down with like 6 catches for 50 yards. I think the touchdown is the ever elusive part, which I'm a little worried about. So at this point, I'd still play Jamaal Williams there. Palmer or Lazard? I have Palmer ahead of him, Brandon. Boyd or Deon? We took care of that. Claypool or Allgeier in the flex? Devin, I'd play Allgeier there in the flex. I would not pick up Pacheco. Allgeier or Eno? Z, I would play Allgeier. Let's see here. Callum 9333 says full PPR Jamaal Williams, Curtis Samuel, Rondell Moore in the flex. Yeah, I'm still playing Jamaal Williams there. Let's see here. Volcrush says Palmer or Boyd. I play Palmer there. Rank rest of season standard scoring Gibson, Brian Robinson, CEH, or Michael Carter. At this point, it'd probably go Gibby, Carter, Brian Robinson, CEH. All right. Couple more questions sent in here. James Joyner, long time no see. I hope you're doing well, James. Thank you. Full PPR, Hawkinson or Christian Kirk in the flex? I'd play Christian Kirk there in a full PPR. Thank you. Joshua says, in a 10-team league, half PPR, sit 1. Okay, so yes, I understand. Listen, the reason why I ignored it the first time is because either way, I'm gonna mess you up here. As of right now, okay, legitimately, in a half PPR scoring format, who we're talking about here, Joshua? All right, half PPR. Let's see here. Where do I have these effing guys ranked? So as of right now, of the players that you have mentioned, I need to just split this. You have Etienne, Walker, Stevenson, Jefferson, Diggs, Nuke. All right. So right now, half PPR flex. Diggs autoplay. Jefferson autoplay. Nuke autoplay. The one guy out is Walker. So Etienne, Stevenson, Jefferson, Diggs, Nuke. Those are the guys I'm playing. I'm sitting Walker this week. It is horrible to do that, but hey, that you're just in your team is too good for its own good. You know what I mean? I appreciate that. Ben in the chat was saying, you truly trust Swift in a full PPR this week? I may start Brian Robinson. What you think? I mean, I think that in 10 touches, DeAndre Swift will do more in terms of fantasy point production than Brian Robinson will in 10 touches. Now, if Brian Robinson goes for 20 touches this week, it's a different conversation. But mainly off of the idea that I had in my mind in regards to probably this game script being heavily favored in the direction of, Antonio Gibson being utilized as a 3-down back because they have to come back in the game. A lot of receiving work going in his direction. That is why I have Brian Robinson where I do in his lower ranked position. So at this point, I still think that even with a limited capacity, DeAndre Swift is so damn efficient that he'll get the job done. And hey, maybe we get into a point here. I'm just putting it out there. What happens when DeAndre Swift comes out, runs for a 50-yard touchdown, and then the whole week is set for that one play? Everything else after that is just gravy, right? I mean, just the same thing like we did last week. He had himself a reception for a touchdown, and everything else was good to go. It's hard for me to sift Swift even on a limited capacity because I just know he's so talented. Let's see here. After we answered, so after Joshua's question, we had Ashley. Ashley said Duvernay or Christian Kirk in a standard. I'm going to play. Ooh, good question. I think I'm going to still play Christian Kirk there. Thank you. Hector Flores says PPR, pick 2, Gabe Davis, Mostert, Swift, Deon Jackson. At that point in a PPR, I'm going to play Mostert and Gabe Davis. Thank you. Dom sends in a question, says full PPR, Eno or Jarvis if Connor plays. If Connor plays, I would then just play Jarvis. Thank you. DYL says half PPR, I'm struggling. I need a wide receiver for the flex. Isaiah McKenzie, Damiere Byrd, JaMychal Hasty, Hilliard, Mac Hollins. Okay. As of this moment in time, I currently have Mac Hollins ranked the highest amongst all those players. The second ranked highest player of the bunch would then be, let me check, Isaiah McKenzie or Damiere Byrd. I have Isaiah McKenzie at 45 and Damiere Byrd at 48. So yes, I would play Isaiah McKenzie and Mac Hollins this week there. DYL. Thank you. Omar G, what's up? Says Gabe Davis or Swift flex full PPR. Give me Gabe Davis. Alrighty. Let's see here. James says full PPR. Do I start Carter, Herbert, or Allgeier? In a full PPR scoring format, I'm probably still rolling with Herbert there. Stevenson or St. Brown full PPR, says Jaden Nelson. Stevenson over, yes, I have Stevenson at 13 in a full PPR and Amon-Ra St. Brown at 16, so I'm playing Stevenson there. Donald Smith says, thanks, Andrew, for all the info. I don't dare tell my leagues about you. That breaks my heart. But I understand. I get it. Listen, when I wasn't making fantasy content, I was the same way. Before I made fantasy content, I'd listen to the fantasy footballers on a daily basis. Like, those were the guys. Like, so I don't blame you. I wasn't telling my league mates about them either. You know what I mean? So it is what it is. Daniel says, running the Chargers stack, Palmer and Everett, 20 points at least, full PPR? Yes, at least. At least, yes. Keith Stone says PPR. For my question, sorry, I didn't see this. Wait, what? If you don't see, let me see here, Keith. Keith Stone says, yo, Andrew. Okay. All right, here we go. Let's see here. All right, so we have to flex one of these guys. T. Higgins, Kenneth Walker, or Joe Mixon. Oh my God. Why have you done this to me? All right, it's a full PPR, yeah? Okay, so let's see here. Full PPR, let me look at my rankings. I currently have Walker ahead of Higgins and Mixon, so I'm playing Kenneth Walker there. I have Stevenson and Etienne. It feels wrong to bench 2 of these guys. It certainly does feel wrong to bench 2 of these guys, Keith, but hey, your team, you've drafted such a good team that it gives you a headache, quite literally. And honestly, by proxy, it's now just given me a migraine. It is what it is. Montgomery or Connor? At this point, if Connor's playing, which I'm expecting him to do so, I'd much rather play him. But hey, if you can't wait for it, then just, like I was telling somebody else earlier, just play Montgomery and you're good to go. Let's see here. Hawkinson or Schultz rest of the season? I prefer Schultz rest of the season. Likely or Hawkinson this week? I'd rather play Likely. Again, like I mentioned, for those of you who are just joining me, maybe you got to get your rankings in a scramble. Rankings on screen to the right of me. Hopefully can help you guys out. If they don't, and you have a flex question or something like that, I'll try to answer it in the chat, but do appreciate that. If you guys could do me a favor, we are very close. We're about 6 likes away from 800. That would be, that'd be great. DJ Moore or Foreman? I have Foreman ahead of him in a half PPR. I have DJ Moore ahead of him in a full PPR. Goff or Carr, QB2 full PPR. I have Goff ahead of Carr this week. Palmer or Deon Jackson? Again, it depends on format, but I'm probably going to go with Palmer there. Troy says, hey, Andrew, in a half PPR, should I trade Ayuk for Kirk? Also, would you start him today over Patterson in the flex? Troy, do me a favor. What's your scoring format? Raymond or Mac Hollins? I'm going to go with Mac Hollins there this week. I think Khalil Raymond, let me check again. Khalil Raymond is my number 39 ranked wide receiver. So he's not far off, but again, they're close enough. Damn, just like that. I just mentioned likes, and we had 46 of them. Boom, 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 boom. You guys are the best. I appreciate that, guys. Thank you. Palmer or Foreman in a full PPR? I'd rather play Foreman there. Patterson or Deon Jackson? Standard? Patterson. Tony or Terrace Marshall? Terrace Marshall. Ramon. Patterson or Montgomery Charles? I play Patterson. Gerald Moore says Patterson or Allgeier? I play Patterson. Troy says in a half PPR. Let me scroll back up, Troy, just to make sure what we're looking at here. Where the heck is that question, Troy? Half PPR. Would I start them over Patterson today? No, I wouldn't start Kirk over Patterson, but I'd be willing to make the move for him. Do I trust him over Ayuk rest of the season? I don't know if I do technically. As of right now, yes. I trust him, but at a very slight margin. It's not enough to where I'm like super excited about it. I think it's a good 1-for-1, but I don't think it's not a game breaker. All right. Donald Smith says, don't worry because it's windy in Chicago. It's always like that. Tua will be fine. I mean, listen, I never worry about wind ever. So I don't know. I don't know about you guys, but I don't ever worry about weather concerns unless it's an actual snowstorm or an actual monsoon that's flying in. Godwin or Kenneth Walker in the flex. It depends on the scoring format. I think in both formats, I'm probably going to play Kenneth Walker, but yeah, I'd probably play Kenneth Walker in both formats. Claypool or Hollins? I play Hollins. Eno or Marshall. Kelsey or Rhamondre in the flex, standard. I legitimately have them back-to-back in my rankings. If it's a standard scoring format, I'd probably rather play Rhamondre, but in a full PPR and a half PPR, I have Kelsey ahead of him. But because it's a straight standard, I play Rhamondre. Connor or Rashad White, give me Connor. Mooney or Mac Hollins, give me Mooney. Lockett or Boyd, give me Lockett. Again, the rankings are on screen for a lot of you guys. Zaxby's or Chick-fil-A. I've never had Zaxby's before, Jaden. Straight up, never had it. David says Chubb, Barkley, and Pollard on bye. I have Stevenson in my lineup. Currently Hilliard as my RB2. Should I play him or go with Pugh? I know I play Hilliard 1,000%. You're good to go there. Metcalf or Boyd? I think again, rankings are on screen. We're good to go. Why Henderson over Robinson Jr.? Mainly because of Antonio Gibson. That's mainly it. Patterson, Hollins, or Raymond in a half PPR. Patterson, Hollins, Raymond. Yeah, I'm going to go with Patterson there, Chris. Curtis Samuel or Gerald Everett, full PPR. Theo, I'm playing Gerald Everett there. Thank you. Anthony sends in a question, says, I had to make my last weekly question. Good luck. Thanks. What was the question, Anthony? I don't see. Maybe it's in the chat. Let me check. Mooney or Mac Hollins? Yeah, we already got to it. Okay, cool. So yeah, we're playing Mooney. Thank you. Alrighty. Olave or Foreman? I'd play Foreman there. Pittman or Lazard? I'm fairly certain I have Lazard over Pittman on rankings on screen. Vikings or Bucks defense? I have the Bucks ahead of the Vikings today. It's game time. Yeah, it's 10 a.m. Bengals or Chiefs? Chiefs, 1,000%. I went Monty over Drake. Hopefully I don't shoot. No, I think you'll be fine there. Don't worry about it. You're going to be fine. PPR, start one. London, Rashad White or Terrace Marshall? I played London, Terrace Marshall, then White in that order. Thank you, Cubes. Too late? What happened? Is it over? Is it over? Yeah, it's 10:01. It's time. What does it say? Okay, cool. As a Herbert and Everett manager, the game scares me. Palmer is on waivers in our league. That tells you how bad the Chargers are right now. Yeah, I agree. I don't think that the Chargers are a good team. I just think it's a great matchup. Hey, Andrew, thoughts on the Lakers? We're significantly better with Russell Wilson. Russell W's cannot be trusted. First and foremost, if you're a Russell W in the chat, let yourself be known because you cannot be trusted. But anyway, Russell Westbrook's a lot better off the bench. And maybe Russell Wilson might be better off the bench also. You never know. Good luck, everybody. I appreciate y'all coming in here. I appreciate y'all sending in those very generous donations. And, of course, clicking the like button today. Your viewership is all I ask for. And with that, we continue to make daily fantasy football content in order to help you guys capture a 2022 fantasy football championship. Much appreciated. Much love. Until tomorrow, we'll be talking about some waiver wire pickups going into week 10. Man, week 10 already, huh? We still got a long ways to go. We still got week 10, 11, 12, 13, and 14 to make the playoffs. We got a lot of time left. Good luck. Let's hope there's no injuries and hope for the best. All right, guys, I'm going to cue the music. And with that, that'll conclude today's stream. Until next time, guys, I'll see you. Peace.